3 o'clock on this Tuesday. Welcome in. Postgame show underway from Herndon Chevy Studios in downtown Columbia, South Carolina. Jay Phillips here. Captain Dave working overtime. Dave, you get paid for that when you have to? Just say
no comment.
Just say yes. Makes it easier for everybody. Terry supposedly, or as Joey Tribbiani would say on Friends, supposedly will be along momentarily. Mike Waddell will join us today. Mike, if you're a T-Mobile customer, yesterday my buddy Mike Waddell, who I went to high school with and is now part of the North Carolina Sports Radio Network, again, not affiliated with the University of North Carolina. It is just, that's the name of their network because it's across the state of North Carolina. Was supposed to join us to talk about what's going on up in Chapel Hill with Mike Lombardi being put on paid leave. And now, if you haven't heard, there's a second, not second, there's a parallel investigation, maybe the way to put it, into North Carolina by the College Sports Commission. They're the ones in charge of NIL deals and the like. And maybe they're related, maybe they're not. Anyway, Mike was supposed to join us yesterday, but he, along with like 100,000 other people, part of that T-Mobile outage. Now, I'm a Verizon customer, but Terry had his T-Mobile, but Terry's girlfriend didn't. She lost hers, so I don't know exactly how many of you had T-Mobile issues yesterday. But
no, see, you understand, when the family phones go out, it's my fault. It's not T-Mobile.
Well, I didn't know if you'd paid the bill.
That's the first thing I get asked. You didn't pay the bill, right?
Right.
Well, my phone works. So I just paid for mine. I didn't pay for yours.
Sure, right, yeah. Just check the box. Which line do you want to pay for today, Mr. Ford? This one. Everybody else, fend for yourself. But Mike will join us this afternoon. We got a poll question running. Get to that in a second on the Gamecocks. Although I have a comedic response to the poll question that I should have done. That I may actually still do. We shall see. We shall see. I did find out that, and I guess, Terry, you should probably, you'll probably be there. You should get credentialed for this. But the Gamecocks and the Maryland Terrapins are going to play one another in men's basketball.
How about that?
For the first time in 21 years. It'll be the first time that they have scheduled one another in nearly 40 years. 19, I think they played a 3-game set, if you will, in 87, 88, and 89. They scheduled those. There was a home, away, neutral.
The neutral's an interesting place, too.
They played Richmond. It's not halfway.
No, because it's like trust me, I drive this.
Yeah,
this is not halfway.
Halfway would be Raleigh or Greensboro, perhaps.
Right. Richmond, a little bit closer to Maryland.
A little closer, but South Carolina won that game.
There you go.
So I guess, who cares if you're a Carolina fan?
You win, man.
Yeah, just win the game. Yeah. But this will be on December 19th, a Saturday, in Baltimore. And that's the first time these two teams have ever met in Baltimore, which you might think at some point in the ACC days they might have played in Baltimore just for yucks, but they didn't. Again, they've played in Richmond. But the last time they played each other was the 2005 NIT. Carolina went on to win that NIT, and so obviously they beat Maryland in that game. But like I said, they played back in the late 80s, and I remember that was a pretty big deal around here that Carolina had scheduled Maryland again because that was one of the more bitter, at least late in the ACC days, one of the more bitter matchups.
I will say this, one of the funniest things, because again, I was not really...
Well, you were like me. You were a tyke.
A tyke when Maryland and South Carolina got into the brawl. And I'll never forget my
I don't think I was alive when they got in the brawl, to be honest with you.
I might have been 3. I don't know. I don't remember, right? I just one of those things, you hear about it and you see it as you get older, but I don't have any recollection.
Look, I was 5 months old when South Carolina left the ACC.
Okay, so right now I got a couple years on you, so I was a very little tyke when the fight happened. I'll never forget when I first get here, Tommy goes, "You know about that fight, right, with South Carolina?"
Yeah.
Like, sure. And Tommy has video. He's got all this YouTube deep dive, and they're interviewing Lefty, they're interviewing, Frank, they're interviewing everybody, right? And so I'm sitting there and I'm watching, and Tommy had it tabbed everywhere because Tommy was, he remembers the whole thing. So that's the first thing I'll never forget with Tommy Moody was with, you remember that fight, right? I go, well, no, Tommy, I really don't remember it.
Well, I'm glad you brought Tommy up because I thought about him this morning thinking it'd be great to be able to go back and talk about that. And you know what? Today's Tommy Moody's birthday.
I know. Bill talked about it today.
So,
to our buddy Tommy Moody. I always said this, and there's people I say this about, and Tommy's one of them. If you didn't like Tommy Moody, it was a you problem.
amen, brother.
Tommy was one of the nicest, most positive men I ever met. I'll be honest. And Tommy, what do you think, Jay? I guess I was 2 or 3 years that I was with Tommy here. I might have heard Tommy say 3 cuss words. Maybe. And
I honestly can't. You may. I can't recall him ever. I'm sure he did at some point.
Like if something went wrong technically, somewhere every now and then he might, say something very low level.
Yeah.
Not like the nasty stuff you say all the time, but. And when Tommy would do it, I would just stop. Like,
yeah, I don't necessarily remember Tommy.
I had a couple times.
I'm sure he did.
One time we were in the production studio doing his show. Remember, he started doing that nostalgia show. He loved that show.
Yeah, yeah.
And we're in there, and something didn't work, or something happened, and he just said, "Damn." I just stopped and looked. I said, "Tommy, what is that? I said I was joking. You're Tommy Moody. You don't say those words.
No FCC violations.
That's right, Tommy. You don't say those words. I say those words." Yeah. He just started laughing. Great man. We miss him every day. And today's his birthday, huh?
Yeah. The only time.
Dave needs to say something. Yes, go ahead, Dave.
The only time I ever heard him say anything bad about anybody was Eli Drinkowitz. He said, "I don't like the way that man talks."
Well, Tommy's probably not alone in that one. But happy birthday, Tommy. Happy heavenly, as we like to say. And,
yes.
But today's one of those days, and I do it. I seriously, just for a second, I don't know how many times throughout the years that since we've lost Tommy, and today's just another example amongst many that I will have my first thought of. I need to ask Tommy that, and I'm still finding myself like, it's a snap before I, but it's like. That's a Tommy Moody question.
Oh, absolutely.
And today was one of those days. But I'm happy about that. We don't know what time the game is going to be. They'll tell us that later. But a Saturday in Baltimore. What's Christmas time like in downtown Baltimore? A time for people to go shopping and visit and enjoy. Enjoy things.
It's a time of joy and happiness in Baltimore City. People typically, like when they rob you or mug you, they help you up. They say, "Please, can I please have your wallet? Thank you, sir. Merry Christmas." That kind of. I mean, when you see the poor Salvation Army Santa being mugged.
Yeah, sure.
Sure. They only take the large bills. It's a joyous time in Baltimore City. A joyous time.
So maybe we hold off on the holiday celebrations in Baltimore. Is that what you're saying? We'll see.
Well, I'll tell you what. They're having this, and they change the name of this thing all the time. When I was a kid, it was the Baltimore Civic Center, and now I forget what it's called now. They've renovated it. It's supposed to be a much better facility on the inside than it used to be. The big thing of that, the original was the Beatles played there back in the 60s or something.
Oh. So wait, so the same building is where they're going to play this game?
Yeah, it's been renovated. I believe it's the same place. Yeah.
Wow.
But they've renovated. There was always talk about building a new arena.
Yeah.
Because that one was a dump. And
is that where the old Baltimore Bullets would have played?
Yep, that's where the Baltimore Bullets played before they moved to D.C., yeah. Okay. And, again, one of the things was the arena. And the arena's in an area that became not the greatest place in the world to go. And there was a whole thing about building one and trying to lure an NBA team. But, Ted Leonsis will never let you do that. I mean, D.C. has got the territorial rights to Baltimore now in the NBA and the NHL.
D.C. has an NBA team?
Well, not really. It's like a G League team. For a while there, when Maryland was really good at hoops, it was like, okay, Maryland and the Wizards play. Who wins?
At Georgetown. Oh, okay, yeah. I guess you.
Yeah, and so that was a thing for a while because I'll give you a little quick piece of trivia that I learned. The Philadelphia Flyers, were almost the Baltimore NHL team.
Wow. Okay. What happened?
At the last minute, Mr. Snyder, the man who bought the Flyers, put an offer on the table at the last second before the Baltimore people got their deal. It was about to be
one of those.
Yeah, snuck in there, got it at the last second with a better offer, and boom.
Yeah.
So anyway, that arena is the arena that they'll play in. It's been renovated.
Well, I'm excited about this game.
And the neighborhood is.
And I don't mind. This is one of those rare times when I threw out on Twitter that the Phillips family will be torn on this one. Of the 6 of us, 3, including my wife and myself, 3 of us went to South Carolina.
I mean, you grew up here, man. You got to root for the Gamecocks.
Oh, no, 2. Oh, well, I am. No, somebody asked me that today. I said, no, I will root for my alma mater.
You have to.
But and it's funny because my oldest, who went to UMD, and now my youngest is going to UMD. My oldest went to say hey to Coach Dawn when she took the Terps up there, 6 or 7 years ago, whatever it was. And I remember my daughter asking me, Dad, who do I pull for? And I was like, well, you go to Maryland, so you pull for Maryland.
Right.
But I think in so many words I said, but if the Gamecocks win, you don't lose.
Right. It's a no-lose situation.
It's good for you. Like you can just go enjoy the game, and it won't matter.
And the good news this year is Maryland's there for the beating. They're coming off a terrible year.
Yeah.
And again, we know these teams are all year to year now. We get it. It depends what you with the portal and blah, 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 blah. But Maryland's rebuilding, retooling, re-everythinging right now. So, this is a good time to play if you're the Gamecocks.
Right.
You are. So if you can get out of Baltimore with all your belongings, it'd be a good trip if you can go there and pull a W because it's there for the taking.
Well, it's listen, in all seriousness, going to downtown Baltimore for a little bit is nice in certain parts. I mean, Inner
Harbor's
Harbor,
cool.
The
Little
aquarium,
Italy, Fed Hill. I mean, there's places right around. Like for example, if you're going to Camden Yards, instead of going up, if you go straight, Fed Hill's a cool neighborhood to hang in.
Cool. We can walk up those big steps and look out over the harbor.
I tell you, I like Fed Hill. Fed Hill's cool, man. Fed Hill's really cool.
That's cool.
So,
I don't think I could live there. It's a little tight.
A little bit.
A little tight.
You don't want to live there. You want to go hang out. There's a lot of good bars and restaurants, and then get out.
Yeah,
don't live in Fed Hill.
Yeah, I was like, man, that's some tight. That's living quarters.
It's like Fells Point, Canton. Those are areas you want to go hang in, but you don't necessarily want to live.
So there you go. But Carolina and Maryland playing men's basketball. But like I said, the first time that they've scheduled one another since '87, '88, and '89.
I might. What's the date again?
It's Saturday, December 19. So that'll be on when you're on your way home for the holiday.
I might actually get credentialed to go to that. I might do that. It's been more than a minute since it was funny.
I mean, the program director won't make you, but you should. You should just show him.
Well, if he says I should, I won't.
You should show him how much you care.
If he says it's up to me, I'll do it. If he says I should, I won't.
Yeah, that's what I.
Because I'm not giving that guy any.
That's what I would do. That's just my advice. I would just.
Yeah, not bad advice.
Yeah, well, Yeah. But again, just be. Well, have fun in Baltimore. Have fun in Baltimore if you go. All right, let's get to the poll question. Got some interesting breaking news, not around the Gamecocks or anything, but in a battle of big brands. We no alliteration intended there, but we have that today, and I'll get into that in just a second. But before we do anything else, the obligatory question that may be revisited sometime in August, just because things will change and we'll hear some stuff. But as the Gamecocks are heading into August camp, which is what I call it. I don't call it FALL
not fall.
Which position group are you most concerned about right now? In alphabetical order: defensive backs, offensive line, running backs, tight ends. So there you go.
Mine's become the perennial offensive line.
Well, you're not alone. But go ahead and vote. I'm going to run this through tomorrow's program. So we'll have a lot of time to reflect on this today and tomorrow. But DBs, offensive line, running backs, tight ends, hit me up at J Phillips.
Okay. So let's just push offensive line out of the way because it's going to be such a popular one, right? Let's have a discussion on your second one.
On the other ones? Okay.
Yeah, let's have a second one.
We'll do that. Speaking of tomorrow, by the way, around this time tomorrow, right here on this very program, live, new Gamecock baseball coach Kevin Schnall will join Terry.
How about that?
Looking forward to that.
Looking forward to talking with him.
Thursday, we'll be out at Shane Beamer's golf outing.
Hang out with
Shane.
And maybe Kevin Schnall. Who knows?
Is he playing?
Well, he might like talking to us so much tomorrow. We'll see if he wants to come play golf and hang out with us.
All right, we'll do all that.
Free food.
All right, we'll get into a little bit more from the poll question. And again, some interesting big brand breaking news in college sports. It's a battle. More alliteration that is not intended. This is the postgame show.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about certainly the top three coming out of last season that are now back, those are some really talented guys that are having elite summers. All three of them. Talking about Fred, talking about Sean and Jo. I know every coach gets up there and says, "Man, he had a really good summer." Like these guys are having like elite summers. The three of them, and they're leaders on our defense. All three of those guys, I feel.
Shane Beamer on linebackers, not part of our crew, mainly because I think linebacking isn't one of those position groups this year that people have a lot of concern about.
You got three starters back from last year, a lot of upside. Yeah.
Are we supposed to call Fred or JR, though?
I like Fred, man.
I like JR.
I like Fred because I don't know anybody named Fred. Like, Fred was an old person named from the past generation before you and I. Yeah, I don't know anybody named Fred.
It's funny that you say that because I had two guys in my graduating high school class named Fred.
Stop it.
I did. Fred Lynch and Fred Greer.
Fred. Their names were Fred.
Well, here's the thing. Fred Lynch, we called Fred. Fred Greer is what he likes to be called, like, after college. He was Freddie in high school. And he's a great guy, right? Mm-hmm. But we,
yeah. Whenever you start with
we did the 5-year reunion.
Uh-huh.
It's Fred now.
It's Fred.
It's Fred.
I'm Fred now. I'm
we were all like, okay.
You're not Freddie. No, I'm Fred. Not Freddie
and it took like all weekend, right, to go like, you see, Fred, yeah, Fred. But yeah, no, that's funny that you say that. I
can't believe you had two Freds.
Two.
The closest Fred to me was Flintstone on the TV.
Okay.
I don't know a Fred. I've never been around anybody named
like
Fred.
Freddie Freeman never dropped Freddie, by the way. He's still just Freddie.
Still Freddie. Freddie has a kind of little cool sound to it, but Fred sounds like those old guys in my neighborhood growing up.
Yabba dabba doo, man.
You're like your Uncle Fred.
All right, so you don't want to call.
I want to keep going with Fred. You want to
call? I just think JR is fun. I mean, and that your name is Fred, but that you're JR.
See, I just.
Well,
I liked it when they had Fred, and that was a couple years ago when Fred came in. They had another old guy name on the team, the linebacker. What was Pup Howard's first name?
Oh, jeez.
I forgot. I think that was an old man name too, and they came in together. It was kind of fun.
Desmond?
No, I can't remember. Maybe it wasn't Pup Howard, but there was another guy on the team with an old man name too, like Fred, and it was kind of cool. I can't remember now. I'm blanking. But anyway, I like Fred.
But they got a nice linebacking core, and Jo, Justin Arankwo. Mm-hmm. I think they'll be good there. And they've got depth, and you know what, Terry, they've got size at linebacker. Looking right now, 241, 233, 240, 230, 234, 238, 238, 232, and 238. Those are your weights, and they're all either 6'1" to 6'4".
You look at the starters with Jo and Murphy and Fred, and they're big guys, but they're big guys that can move. They can cover ground. Yeah. That's what I love about Demetrius Knight. Demetrius Knight could cover some ground. So that's, to me, obviously you want to be big enough so you can shed blockers and stuff like that. But I love speed at linebacker. And you
Grayson,
saw it.
By the way.
Grayson.
Pup was Grayson.
It was Grayson and Fred. Yeah. That's what it was. I enjoyed that.
For those of you screaming at your radio, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Grayson and Fred. But I just like the idea that these are guys that have athleticism.
Yeah.
Because it's such a I think linebacker today is such a tough position to play because, I mean, you got to play the run, obviously. But now teams are so much smarter in the passing game. They target you with backs and slot receivers and tight ends, and they try to put you in havoc in the passing game. And you got to go forward, you got to go backward, you go inside.
Well, and I think what you need to that last point you made, and we saw this, on the wrong side a couple of years ago here at Carolina, where you just didn't have any depth, and you had guys playing, 50 and 60 snaps at linebacker, and the way you have to cover the field, it's like a midfielder in soccer. A linebacker is not asked. Look, I still measure linebackers against Lawrence Taylor, right? I probably shouldn't anymore. But linebackers now, to your point, have to lateral quickness, reverse quickness. I mean, and they have to be able to read the field. The field is spread. So the point is, they need to be spelled. And you've got to have some guys, and it needs to be a lot of 1A, 1B. Too, so that you can just interchange them and they can come out and they can carry plays in and they can feel like, all right, we're not missing a beat. But a few years ago, we saw what happens when you don't have linebacking.
And especially those were guys, no offense to them, they were playing 60, God knows how many snaps. And they were guys that really shouldn't have been playing that many snaps in the first place. And you were asking guys who should have been shuttled in and out to play a lot when that really wasn't their strength.
And some guys, to the point about some of the size, some of the guys that were maybe a second teamer, they were coming in there 215. And when you needed to, that's when the opponents would just run at you and well, this guy can't stop our line. He can't, that second level tackle, he's not going to make it.
Right. And that guy's going to get blown up because he's, we're going to pull a guy or we're going to run a blocking combination, take that 215-pound cat and put him in the driveway.
But linebackers should be a lot stronger this year. A wide receiver, obviously quarterback, you have an elite talent there. But we ask you which position group. And look, I knew going in what this was going to be as a lot of votes are coming in, even as we speak. Defensive back, offensive line, running back, tight end. It will surprise absolutely no one that offensive line is out front. And it majorly out front. I threw this up a little bit ago. Already have over 100 votes, so we're getting a pretty good sample. 80% of you, right at 80, offensive line. 11.8 running back, 5.5% defensive back, and just 2.7% are concerned about the tight end room at this point in time. The interesting thing is, and I don't know if you have the Phil Steele in front of you right this second, Terry, but I know yesterday we were talking about experience levels. And one of the things that Phil Steele praised South Carolina for was the experience. And, the way he measured his experience wasn't just snaps and starts. There were some other things that were thrown into it with production. And South Carolina had the best experience level in the Southeastern Conference coming into the season. How that translates to wins and losses, we'll find out. But so I'm not here to say offensive line is the wrong answer. There are no wrong answers. And this year I would probably say offensive line. Running back goes hand in hand with it.
Yep.
And I just, last year we saw that Carolina just didn't have running back production. How much of that was an inability to block and open holes? How much of that was a lack of just enough talent back there or at least experience in figuring those things out? I think there's a Venn diagram somewhere where they cross over, right? So I'm still going to have a lot of concern about running back, but to the point of this right now, I get it. And until you see it, and really, this is why I want to see it gel. This is why I want, we were talking last week about Jacarius Peak, maybe needing to play in at least some in those first two games in direct relation to Dylan Stewart as you look at two big offseason injuries. And it's not to say, Jacarius isn't as good as Dylan. That's not the point. It's that Dylan's been through the battles of the SEC for 2 seasons. We know what Dylan's about. Dylan knows what Dylan's about. Opponents know what Dylan's about. And if Dylan needs to keep resting, if Jacarius needs to keep resting and make that knee 100% until the conference play begins, okay. Right. Not here to judge. But as an offensive line unit and with a new system and all that kind of stuff, to get him some reps and see that line gel, because then you're into 10 straight at conference level, including the Clemson game.
Yeah, you'd like to get them, like they always say, play like your one set of eyes, 5 guys and all that, Rockettes and all that. I look at it like, I'm with you about the running backs. I think if the offensive line does their job, the running game gets better.
Offensive line?
You ever see those Rockettes?
They're tall.
Yeah, but they're tall. They're very they're wiry, strong, man. Don't mess with them. Leverage, Jay, at the line of scrimmage, and the way they kick their legs.
Can you kick? I don't think you can kick.
Well, Rockettes can. There's different.
No, they can, but they would get penalized.
No, not with the Rockettes.
Oh, okay, good.
A little different ball game.
I'm sorry. I tell you what, just hold your thought, because
anyway.
I shouldn't have done that. You were going somewhere, man, and I.
Yeah, but then
you said the Rockettes, and I just thought about the Rockettes.
They all kick together, and it's a thing, man.
Hit us up if you want to vote.
Does anybody under the age of 35 know who the hell the Rockettes are?
Yeah, everybody knows who the Rockettes are. Yeah, come on.
All right.
It's the Rockettes, man.
Oh, we're just being old dudes. Okay.
No, they were just on the Today Show like last week.
Were they really?
Christmas in July and stuff.
All right. Okay.
It's the Rockettes.
They're still a thing. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. You've seen the Rockettes, right? That's
Sure.
fine. That's fine.
My mom was a Rockette.
Back to. We'll be back in a minute. All right, welcome back in. Postgame show rolling on here. Jay Phillips, Terry Ford with you. Mike Waddell, North Carolina Sports Radio Network, coming up in about an hour's time with the latest on what's going on in Chapel Hill. Big Ten Media Days have begun. Mm-hmm. And in a little bit, we'll go over some of the things Tony Petitti said. I watched. He didn't speak long. They condense. I mean, they do. Their media days is 3 days. So today they have Tony and 6 coaches, and then tomorrow 6 more, and then Thursday 6 more, and then they're done. So
Right.
That's they do it pretty quick. So he had some opening remarks. I'll say this for those wondering. Tony Petitti was very kind when it came to the Southeastern Conference sort of, I don't want to say rivalry. I think he used that word, but more in the context of how fans feel about it. And he even made mention, he said, I talk to Greg Sankey all the time. And he even said, Terry, and he meant today, he's like, I probably talked to Greg 5 times today. And that was at 11:45 this morning.
Well, the one thing that's got that has, again, look, we talked to Greg Sankey about how the Big Ten kind of okey doked with this playoff idea of 24 over 16 and everything, but the relationship of Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti, a 180 from the Big Ten's previous commissioner, that guy.
Yeah.
Remember, he made it adversarial. Because he was the one that talked the ACC and the Big 12 into the what? Or the Pac-12?
Alliance.
The alliance. And then, of course, he
stabbed him.
And
again,
in
not
the
in the
front.
back. Not in the back.
Right in the front.
Yeah,
looking
He
right
walked
at him.
right up to him, shook their hand with his right hand, and with his left hand, put it right up the gut.
Kevin Warren was awful for college football and college athletics. But the thing about, Warren, you remember, he was the one that stopped the first expansion of the playoff because the Big Ten added Texas and Oklahoma. Warren, added the SEC added Oklahoma and Texas. And he was the leader of that pushback on the SEC. So now you got Petitti comes in, and to Tony's credit.
Even though the irony there, real quick, is that Texas and Oklahoma called the Southeastern Conference.
Exactly. But how
hey, can we join you?
Yeah, and everything got, we'll show that SEC a thing or two. We'll stop the expansion of the playoff. That's what we'll do. Yeah, nice job. But Petitti, to his credit, has realized something. There's 2 big dogs. Now, if the big dogs fight each other, okay, whatever you're trying to whatever that's going to be, or the smart 2 big dogs, what do, Jay?
You get along.
They partner.
Yeah.
They get along. They look because they're going down the same road together, right?
Pull that sled at the front.
Yeah. In the Iditarod race, they're up front, and then you got the ACC and the Big 12 in the back, far back.
Sure.
So
stuck.
So it's smart to work with the SEC.
And
it just really is.
And they are. So we'll get there's some interesting details. And as I said yesterday, and the more I've looked into it today, when it comes to what's going on in the U.S. Senate and the Protect College Sports Act, I do think that realignment and potential expansion, not nearly as big an issue as it may have been portrayed, other than some language in the bill that seemed to single out the SEC and Big Ten.
Or I'll say this, and we were talking about this yesterday, and you brought this up yesterday, and you might not be wrong.
Thanks, Terry.
Hell, it happens every now and then. It's the idea of, not to say that it didn't matter. I think certain language does matter, but once you start waving more money at everybody, then certain things that mattered more start to matter less, because you're going to wave that many more millions at us? Okay, then we won't die on the hill. Let's kind of find a medium ground on the hill. And maybe it's going to be the language of how you expand and what goes into expansion. And maybe not to stop it now, but to make it make sense.
Right.
And just like the whole let's all go negotiate as one big entity for TV deals, maybe that is changed as well in language. And in return for the SEC and the Big Ten to agree to the change in language, now you throw roughly $26 more million at everybody to play with.
Yeah, I'm convinced that the SEC and Big Ten will never pool their resources with the other conferences for television
Nor
purposes.
should they. This is not the NFL. This is not the NBA. This is not the NHL. And if your job as a conference is to do what's best for you, why would you take less money to make other people whole?
Right.
The answer is you don't. That's where, look, we say a lot of this stuff is like, we'll say, well, the NFL does this or whatever. But everything isn't do what the NFL does because, again, the NFL is 32 teams.
There's
How
only
many
30,
teams is college football?
Well, I
100?
mean, even if you want to go major college, 70.
Yeah. So why you can't do it is my point. And my point is, if you are the SEC and the Big Ten, and you are set up the way you're set up, and you've done what you've done to get that, why would you change it now? Because what it's going to do is hurt you regarding building successful programs.
Right.
Because now you're giving away some of that money.
And again, as we showed, and with fact, not opinion. Look, Southeastern Conference dominates college football viewing, but the Big Ten isn't that far behind. But we talked about how far behind the ACC and Big 12 were. That I think with the ACC, you'd have to double the number of appearances in the top 100 most viewed college football games, and you still, if you were the ACC, still wouldn't hit the Big Ten's number.
No.
And then for the Big 12, you would have to triple it, and you still wouldn't hit the Big Ten's number. And again, the Big Ten is in second place.
Look, let's just be honest here. If the ACC and the Big 12 looked at each other and said, hey, what the hell, let's merge and be the big ACC or whatever, well, let's just say for fun, they still can't get near the viewership of the SEC or the Big Ten.
They wouldn't.
No.
They wouldn't.
That's how far behind, and that's my point of this, Jay, is, look.
If that at that point, again, you'd have to just about double. I'm doing the quick math in my head, and you could pretty much double their number, and then you might hit the Big Ten.
Right. The money you're sacrificing
not even that, really.
For that many teams is not. That's why, because I'll be the guy that says Major League Baseball should have a salary cap and a salary floor. I think professional leagues should have salary caps because they only have X amount of teams. When you've got 70-some teams, we're just taking the power leagues, and now you're going to cut that pie, Jay? 70-some ways? That's different than cutting that pie 32.
Technically, if you include Notre Dame, it's 68. And the reason I said 70 is because I think that we're going to see some type of movement again with Oregon State and Washington State one day.
So let's say you throw 70 in, and
let's call it 70.
All right, cut that pie 70 ways compared to cutting that pie 32 ways.
Right.
That's why I don't think they are. What's that dumb saying? An apple to apple comparison. It's like, an apple to a watermelon.
Right.
And it just doesn't make any sense if you were the SEC or the Big Ten to take that kind of a haircut to make the Big 12 and the ACC more whole.
Honestly, I think one of the big parts, and again, we'll talk about it, is maybe some of this private equity stuff that's in there. But
it's coming, man.
But
it's just.
And again, maybe.
Can I say something? It's just the how bad this is for just. Everything in general is private equity.
Private equity. Well, right now only one school, but I think the language that they have is going to.
If they put language in that can do something about that to at least, if nothing else, to regulate it, if not at all ban it.
I think they're going farther than regulation.
And I hope they do because again, everybody thinks this is cool. It's like anything. It's like I wave a lot of money in front of you. You're not listening to the rules of getting the money, right? You're just saying, give me the money, give me the money, give me the money. Oh, yeah, by the way, you'll be selling your soul to me. I'll be taking your next three born and, all this other stuff. And you're not paying attention because you just see the money. Mm-hmm. That's what's going on in college athletics with these private equity offers is this, ready? Think how much money you're going to get. Yeah, but you know what comes with that money?
Right.
You think
I think that I wouldn't worry about it as much.
I hope they handle it.
Yeah, I wouldn't say don't worry about it at all. But yeah. I would not let that keep you up at night.
I think that it does. That is a problem that needs to not happen. Yeah. In general, and coming from people who work in an industry that has been overrun by that type of thing, yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah, I get it.
Just saying.
All right, we'll come back on the other side, update the poll question. And as I mentioned earlier, a big brand battle going on in college athletics. And it only took a couple of hours for one big brand to look at the other one and go, hold my beverage. Because this school might not want to say hold my beer. You'll understand what I mean. And Terry will open the vault coming up. All right, welcome back in. Before we open the vault, just an interesting little side note, just some of the business of college athletics happening today. Earlier this morning, ahead of Big Ten Media Days, Ohio State announced a $17 million per year jersey patch deal with J.P. Morgan Chase, which is headquartered in Columbus. I mean, as I was telling Terry, look, it's J.P. Morgan Chase, so they got tons of bigwigs that work in New York City and around the world, but home is Ohio. And so $17 million, and it's across all sports. Now, look, you're pretty much paying for football, and then everything else is thrown in as a bonus, right? I mean, Ohio State men's basketball at times is good. And I suppose in the region, Terry, you would have to tell me maybe Ohio State hockey is probably at least somewhat well attended. But I mean, it's not okay. So you get a little bit more on Big Ten Network with some hockey,
Right.
But that's not but you're paying for the football team.
Yes.
So let's just call it what it is. You're paying for the football team.
Yep. I mean, Ohio State again. At Ohio State, do they want to be good at everything? Absolutely.
Yeah. And then, you know what? They are.
They do. They want to be. And basketball has been a disappointment here for the last so many years. You know, Chris Heitman had it where they had a couple good years and they kind of slid, and they're still kind of sliding a little bit.
Well, like Thad Matta made a Final Four, right?
I mean, but that was a long time
It's been
ago,
a while.
man.
It's been a while.
They had a lot of success in the '60s under Fred Taylor and stuff like that, and in Kelvin Ramsey's career, but. Here lately, they have not been what they'd like to be.
No. But that again, the bulk of that 17.
Football.
Yeah,
It's football.
Let's put it this way: 16,900,000 is for football.
Yes, absolutely.
And 100,000 for everything else.
Exactly.
Within a couple of hours, kids. Within a couple of hours, the University of Notre Dame announced that it had signed a jersey patch sponsorship with SoFi, another big giant financial corporation. Worth at least $18 million, upwards of $20
Well, then
million.
Ohio State came back and said ours is $18 million and one.
Right. They're playing Bob Barker at this point. Higher. Lower. Higher. So within hours, it's almost like Notre Dame and SoFi knew it was coming.
Mm-hmm.
Just hold on. Just wait. Just wait. Just wait. Now do it. Go.
Run it up.
Wait, no, not yet. Go.
It is funny.
So Notre Dame, again, about 2 or 3 hours later, eclipses Ohio State's record-setting deal. I don't think there's anybody else. You tell me. Just hold on to that. Y'all think about this. And if you want to text in, what's a school? Give me one school beyond Notre Dame and Ohio State. Give me a school that could even go higher annually than Notre Dame. I don't say anything now. You four don't say anything. But if you want to text in 803-404-6100 or hit me on Twitter, do that. Who is there? Let's think about that. In the meantime, Terry Ford's going to open the vault.
Yeah, we got a couple of them in here.
We didn't open the vault yesterday.
No, we were blabbing about something. Okay, here's the deal. On this day, in 1991 and 1994,
Okay.
2 pitchers threw perfect games.
Wow.
The first one was 1991. This pitcher pitched for the Montreal Expos. He had previously pitched for the Cleveland Indians and Baltimore Orioles, and he threw a complete game.
Complete game, perfect? A
perfect game, rather.
Perfect game.
Perfect
For Montreal.
2-0 over the Dodgers.
For Montreal. 91.
El Presidente is what they kind of called him. Not Luis Tiant, but this guy was also called like El Presidente in some ways. Or something like to that name, to that fact.
Pedro Martinez?
Nope, Dennis Martinez.
Dennis Martinez
on this day in 1991.
Yeah.
You know, really quick, I always rooted for him because he came up through the Orioles system.
Yeah.
A lot of talent, had some battles with alcohol, and then came back in Cleveland and Montreal and had a really nice career.
Yeah.
He really did.
Yeah, I remember him.
So perfect game against the Dodgers.
And he wasn't a big guy either.
No, not really. This day, 1994, this Texas Rangers pitcher pitched a perfect game, 4-0 over California.
Was that Kenny Rogers?
Nailed it. Good job, sir. You got that one. Very nice work. Kenny Rogers on this day. And then he sang The Gambler.
That's right. Well, because he was on that team with Nolan for a couple years.
Kenny Rogers was he's one of those guys, good pitcher, solid pitcher, not great, never going to go, should be a Hall of Famer. But yeah, he had some good years.
Yeah.
He really did.
Yeah.
And he hurled a perfect game lefty. Remember he's a lefty?
Yeah, left-handed.
Yeah, threw a perfect game against the California Angels on this date. And how about two guys throwing perfect games on
Same
this
date. Yeah, that's good.
3 years apart.
That's good. All right.
Look at that. You got
again,
one out of two, man. That was good by you.
One more for the vault, and we'll mention it. We already mentioned it once. We'll do it again. But today would be Tommy Moody's birthday, or is Tommy Moody's birthday?
And his birthday's perfect for the vault. And
yeah.
Tommy was a walking vault of knowledge.
All right. We'll come back around to this jersey patch story because I also want to, talk about what, could Carolina get one of these? Do they need to, work on that pretty soon here? And more on the poll question. And again, the latest on the PCSA. Keep it here. I love telling you about what all they can do for you at Cato's Power Equipment. Stop into the showroom, see the latest in lawnmowers, edgers, blowers, trimmers, chainsaws, you name it. They've got it. You can hold it, you can feel it, and feel if it's right for you. That's what I did when I got all the stuff that I have, lawnmower, big chainsaw, blower, trimmer, and mine are, at least those last three things, battery powered, which makes it a whole lot easier. But now, when you've got a lot of those pieces of equipment like I do, you can be part of the Cato's Care Plan. And this is especially important for those of you who do this for a living. You get preventive maintenance, priority service calls, exclusive discounts. They'll extend your equipment life by making sure everything is running smoothly, and you get the peace of mind of knowing that your equipment is ready to go all the time, which means you are making more money. If you're interested, log on to catospowerequipment.com. Plans start at just $200 a year. Could be worth it for you. No matter what you do for a living or for yourself, see Cato's Power Equipment. 4 o'clock on this Tuesday. Welcome back in. Second hour of the postgame show coming at you from downtown Columbia's Herndon Chevy Studios alongside Terry Ford. I'm Jay Phillips. Appreciate you being with us. Got some developing news out of Washington today as the latest revisions, tweaks, whatever words you want to put on them, of the Protect College Sports Act have been added. And there's really... I don't want to say it's a rush job because that's going to make it sound like, man, do we know exactly what we're doing or what we're getting here? But time is running out before the August recess starts next week for this bill to at least be voted upon by the full Senate. Because, I mean, no matter what, it's not going to get voted on by the House before the legislative recess. But if you can at least get it passed and sent to the House before the recess, then you know that the House will take it up in committee and maybe there's an opportunity. But even then, again, especially in the House, every opportunity that the members of the House of Representatives get, they're all running for reelect. Well, most of them anyway. Some might be retiring. I don't know. I don't know how many, Terry, but the vast majority of the 435 of them are running for reelection. So not a whole lot of time to get this done. But I think a lot of people feel like, well, the SEC last week was just complaining and was going to break away. No, never going to break away from the NCAA. That was never the point. And I'm glad today, by the way, that Tony Petitti, the commissioner of the Big Ten, was asked about that on multiple occasions and addressed it correctly by saying no. And I'm paraphrasing now, Terry, but every time he answered, I think he got like 3 different versions of the same question. And by the way, one of them was absurd, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But he said, no, look, what Greg Sankey was saying is, and in so many words he said, and we kind of feel the same way, is if we don't get what we need from Washington, then yes, it is going to present an opportunity for us to make our own rules. That is the so-called breakaway. Mm-hmm. They're not leaving the national competition. They're not leaving the national structure. That would be the nuclear option. And if I may, to a point that you made indirectly earlier, if there were a nuclear option if you had to push that button, mm-hmm. the SEC and the Big Ten are going to walk away in lockstep.
Sure they are, because it's to their advantage.
And they're going to bring a couple of schools with them.
Well, you and I have had this.
Probably only a couple, but a couple.
Yeah, I mean, Notre Dame and a few more.
Notre Dame's coming. North Carolina's coming. Yep. Miami's probably coming. Mm-hmm. Maybe the 2 Arizonas. That might be about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be one of ththey things where they throw up their hands and go, look, we've tried everything. We're done. Yeah, we're going to take our ball and go somewhere else. By the way, we're going to take all your TV ratings.
Yeah, we're taking all the TV, and we're going to have 40-some schools. But again, that's a nuclear option, and that's not going to happen. So, at least But again, if it did, they'd be fine.
Yeah,
they'd be fine. I promise you.
And look, I think just the conversation of it is enough to make everybody else go, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, they
talked about it, right?
Yeah,
it's like if your wife walks in, I've been talking about moving. Really? Us? No. Me. Get your attention, right? Okay. And that's what this was. This was like, this is just kind of we had a conversation about breaking away. From who? You.
Yeah.
And that gets your attention.
It does.
Because if you talk about it, it means you've thought about it, right?
And again, to Tony Petitti's credit today, in so many words, he admitted, look, if you're not preparing for other obstacles, or if you're not preparing for these obstacles and how to overcome them, mm-hmm. you're not doing your job.
Well, we asked Greg Sankey when he hung out with us. It was so cool he bought the beer. But
well, I wasn't there. You brought beer?
That's true. You weren't there for that. I'll tell you what, it's pretty good beer.
I imagine it was High Life.
Greg makes it himself.
He
makes it himself.
Tampa, Florida. Fine beer. Fine product.
So he basically, we asked him when he was on with us, does this bill, if it ever gets legs, does it make, and there's things in it that aren't acceptable to you, does that make you want to, does that accelerate your process? And he even said the first thing before we accelerate a process of doing anything like that, we want to try to make this thing work. But I will say, Jay, I think there's always that, you always want to leave the door open that if language is in this thing that doesn't work for you or the Big Ten, you got to have a conversation, especially if it hinders your ability to be the best conference you can be financially, competitively, whatever. Then you and your bud have to have a talk.
Well,
and see what
to your point. Here are some of the. This is a nutshell version of the revisions again that they hope garner the support of the Southeastern Conference and the Big Ten Conference. And I credit our buddy Ben Portnoy for putting this in a nutshell version. There's a little larger nutshell version from Ross Dellinger, but to go over these quickly. First off, what's called retention funding. Schools can receive a $20 million retention exception plus up to $5 million more for women's institutional NIL over the life of the House settlement. So right now, you've got a percentage of revenue that can be shared with your student athletes.
Yes.
And this year it's $21.3 million. It goes up every year by a percentage over the course of the House settlement, which is, again, a 10-year deal, which is why this thing says 9 years, because there's 9 years left starting next month. So basically that would take that $21 million, add 25 to it, and with the adjustments, it's roughly $50 million. The next is and again, retention exception means that money would be used. Let's use a Carolina example. That's a pool you would pull from for your Dylan Stewarts and your Lenora Sellers, or guys that are gonna, and they're taking up a good chunk of that, which is fine. That you got to go do it.
That's the way it is.
That's the market that we're currently operating in. And then your rev share would be for everybody, and then you'd have an additional $5 million for your women's sports. So again, because the SEC and Big Ten were like, we can do a lot more.
Oh, sure.
And it's not our problem that some people can't, but we're going to do it one way or another. Well, and so that was one of the things. So
I think when you put more money on the table, anytime, I look, all this stuff is so much just about money, and I will say this idea coming from Congress, and we make fun of Congress and the government all the time because they deserve it, but it's just the idea. Okay, how can we? What does everybody like a lot? Money. Let's put more money in this thing. And we'll put money in there not just for the men's sports, we'll throw some money in for the women's sports because that's important too. So this will check a lot of boxes, and maybe because we're putting more money in this thing, then the other side will go, okay.
Well, remember, I get your point, but I'm not pushing back on you. I'm just going to give you a different narrative. Initially, Cody Campbell was one of the big authors of this, working directly with Ted Cruz as a couple of Texans, and Cody Campbell wanting to preserve Texas Tech under the guise of we don't want to happen to us and others what happened to Oregon State and Washington State, which on the one hand is noble, on the other is disingenuous because he's out for one school.
No, he just wants Texas Tech to be a player.
And they wanted to, a lot of this bill initially, which is why the SEC and Big Ten were hacked off, was basically not punishing the SEC and Big Ten for their success, but shackling them.
I think limiting is what I was going to say. You're limiting their growth
on purpose. Like, y'all are plenty big enough, so we're going to stop you from using the resources you've. In other words, you got a big bank account, but you can't spend the money. And the Big Ten and SEC were like, whatever, dude.
Yeah, it's like, again, you don't understand something. We steer this ship.
Yeah, if I want to put some in a 5% CD or a 4% savings account, or if I want to go buy a whole mess of, if
I want to add more franchises to my chicken stores, I'm going to add more franchises.
Yeah, but if I want to pay my players whatever, and I want to build a new gym, and I want to add to my stadiums and whatever, then I'm going to do it. You can't tell me how to spend my money, or tell me I can't spend my money. And that's what they were doing initially.
I can't grow. You're not letting me grow either.
I mean, that's part of it all. So there's that. Okay. Secondly, because I got to get to this. Second provision, the Super League provision. Again, initially, to my point I just made, there was a revenue threshold of $1 billion or more per year. And that meant that you couldn't change your alignment if you were making that much money. Only 2 conferences make that much money. Okay. Now, again, they didn't put SEC and Big Ten can't do it. Well, they lowered that threshold to $700 million in the new language of the bill. And now that's all 4 power leagues because they make that much money. So now nobody, at least in the short term, can realign from within the ranks of the Power 4.
See,
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'll save it.
All right. Yeah, I'll save it.
Go.
If I get to all these, then we got because we got time. Third, private equity and new conference loophole, they call it. New entities cannot acquire school assets or media rights to create a new conference. So private equity groups, whomever they may be, cannot come up with billions of dollars and go to the Notre Dames and Southern Cals and Texases and Georgias of the world and go, hey, leave your current conference, come with us, Ohio State, Michigan, looking at you, North Carolina, looking at you. Come on, we're going to have, just like the Premier League, we're going to have about 20 of you, and we're going to play each other all the time, and that's going to be great. And here's a gajillion dollars. Can't do that anymore if this bill passes. If this bill passes.
See, anything that puts a stop to private equity is a good thing. Go ahead.
Next is conference expansion. Now, you say, Jay, you already covered that. No, I didn't. Covered conferences, again, that's the Power 4, may expand by adding non-covered schools.
So a group of 5 schools.
Up to 19 total members, which, again, this is the kind of like the Ms. Cantwell provision. Where Washington State
and Oregon State,
and to some degree Oregon State might be able to rejoin, or Memphis or Tulsa or East Carolina or Southern Miss or whoever you're looking at. You know, I think there's really only 3 or 4. I think there's 3 right now. I could be missing somebody, but I think Oregon State, Washington State, and Memphis
Memphis has a legit shot.
I think they do, but I don't know where. They're not coming to the SEC, so I don't know where.
That's the thing. This also still kind of limits.
It's almost like, hey, Big 12, y'all just take them all.
That's what it is. It's like, hey, Big 12, these are yours.
Yeah, it feels that way.
Yeah, it does. And this, again, limits. It doesn't limit, but, again, the SEC and the Big 10 just kind of,
I mean, SEC is not taking Memphis.
No, and the Big Ten's not taking Oregon State or Washington State. No offense.
No, they're not. They're not. It also goes to what they call pre-enrollment inducements, meaning prospects at a high school cannot be compensated before enrollment unless it's through their own thing. But if they find out it's through a school, you're in trouble. Participation for the media pooling rights is entirely voluntary. That's a new provision. And schools and conferences cannot be forced to join. Remember, the last one had if 75% vote, even if it's voluntary, then it becomes mandatory. And
that's
the SEC,
a big one.
Yeah, and the
This is
SEC
a
and
big
Big Ten,
one.
that's probably the biggest one, actually.
Well, I think so. I think that's the
And
biggest
they were like,
one.
yeah, you can't make us give up our TV rights for something else. And finally, what they call a scheduling requirement provision that says rivalry scheduling obligations do not apply to institutions outside the covered entity. So I'm not really sure who was complaining about what there. It feels like, again, something with Washington State. Because, I think soon enough the Apple Cup could go away.
The Apple Cup could go away because of UW's Big Ten schedule.
Yeah, and they don't want it to, and nobody wants it to. So I'm not sure exactly. So those are the big ones, and there could be some other tweaks here and there. But the biggest one, I think, was the Super League provision with that threshold lowered to cover everybody. The private equity, because Greg Sankey and the SEC especially are one. I don't want to do anything hyperbolic. They're 100% opposed to private equity,
Which they should be.
like they want zero part.
Well, you saw the Big Ten, how some of these Big Ten schools ran from private equity, like Southern Cal. They were like, no. We know what that's about.
Yeah. And again, the media pooling. So I know you got some thoughts on some of this, so we'll come back and discuss that. And I want to get back into that jersey patch because it's sort of a sidebar to all of this. Mike Waddell coming up, talking about what's going on in Chapel Hill, too. It's the postgame show. Tell you a lot about Griffin Pools and Spas and how they're ready to build that dream pool for you in your backyard, whether it's an in-ground pool in any shape or design you can think of, or an above-ground pool to make things more affordable for you. But maybe you've already got a pool and you want to take care of it. And you're thinking, where do I start? Well, Griffin Pools and Spas could do complete pool and spa repair. If you've got something wrong, cracks in the cement pool, or maybe, just a worn-out vinyl liner in your vinyl pool, call Griffin Pools and Spas. They'll take care of it. Equipment upgrades, maybe that old filter and pump system just too loud, or your water's cloudy and kind of gross sometimes. Might just be time for something new and more efficient. They'll come in and get that done for you real quick. Safety covers to keep the little ones and the pets nice and safe. And they can also send out one of their experts for pool and spa water analysis, or you can take it to them and let them see what they can do for you to make sure that your water's nice and clean all the time. Stop in and see them. Just steps away from the dam on North Lake Drive, and always online at griffinpoolsandspas.com. All right, welcome back in. Jay and Terry with you here on a Tuesday afternoon. Our buddy Mike Waddell, North Carolina Sports Network, coming up in about 15 minutes or so. The latest on what's going on in Chapel Hill. Again, there may be parallel investigations into North Carolina football. Mike will have the latest on that. In the meantime, we're talking about what's going on in Washington as further revisions have been made to the Protect College Sports Act. This in an effort to get the SEC and Big Ten to support this legislation, which in turn they believe, senators and staffers and such, I guess interested parties, believe would then send this on to the floor of the Senate without fear of filibuster. Not that everybody filibusters. I mean, you could pass this without 60. They want 60 because it's a bipartisan bill, and B, 60 is filibuster proof. That's a supermajority. So that's what they're going for.
Here's a little Tony Petitti from the podium about this whole bill today at Big Ten Media Days.
Over the past 10 days, there have been hundreds of phone calls discussing key aspects of the bill. It is important to understand that this bill sets forth very specific language on how college sports will operate going forward. After a lot of productive work, it is absolutely imperative that we see the amended language of the bill. We cannot change our position until we see the amended bill and have an opportunity to share it with our leadership. And I will say, literally just prior to walking up here, we expect to see the amended bill shortly. It could come as early this afternoon. We will dedicate, and our staff will, their time to making sure we review it and getting back to our leadership as quickly as possible. So,
there you go. So that's
I was watching that. That was just before noon today, and here we are, 4 hours ish later, and we don't. What I am reading from is not from the bill itself, but this is what is expected to be revised and put in front. And I'll say, look, they got a couple of days here, but that's it. They need to have this done soon.
And look, again, listening to it, again, because all this stuff is back and forth negotiation. I mean, we're okay. I'll cave a little bit on that. What are you going to give me here? Well, we'll cave a little on this. We'll give you something here. And that language about the pooling of TV money is gigantic. That is gigantic because the SEC and Big Ten, there is no way on this earth that they would support a bill that is going to make them pool their TV money. It's just not going to happen. And if you're serious about trying to get this bill through, you had to change that.
Do you feel like that, to your point about the give and take of negotiation and whatever, whether it's politics or business, and in this case, a little bit of both, do you feel like the media pooling is a take by the SEC and Big Ten, with the give being, okay, put limitations on our further expansion?
Yes. The point is, because I think if you say, or if you and I were sitting there and we're coming up with our strategy for the next meeting, and we have two things that are big for us, but we think we can get one of them to go our way. We're picking the TV money, right? So it's like, okay, we want to go in there and say, look, you got to change the language of that. But the other thing is, we will keep in the language of kind of stopping us from expanding, but it's got to be all 4 leagues. You got to drop that money down. If you drop that money down to $750 million and prevent all 4 leagues, we'll sign off on that, because now we're not being put at a disadvantage.
Right.
But we need that TV pooling of TV money thing to go away.
I just think, and I agree. Again, the irony here, Terry, is that the leader of this, sometimes quietly and sometimes overtly, is Cody Campbell of Texas Tech. And look, I don't know this, obviously, but if you read between the lines, if Greg Sankey went to Lubbock today with an invitation to the Southeastern Conference, Cody Campbell would shut the hell up.
Cody Campbell
and
Greg Sankey would have to do this. If Greg Sankey did what you just said, if Greg went to sit down at the restaurant and you go, Cody, can you do me a favor? Can you get your lips off my butt so I can sit down and eat? You know what I'm saying? I mean, Cody Campbell, that's all he wants. And that would make all this, his noise would go away.
It would go away. But what it does at the same time is prevents him and his school. Not, again, I don't believe they were ever going to join the Southeastern Conference anyway.
No.
And I think now he has done far more harm than he's ever done good when it comes to that potential, at least in the near term.
Let me ask you this. If you're the SEC, why would you take Texas
Well,
Tech?
you wouldn't. That's just I mean, honestly, you wouldn't.
There's no...
They provide no value.
Because here's the thing, ready? Cody Campbell has money. You know who else has money? Texas A&M and Texas.
You don't need anything else
from
in
them.
Texas. Again, if you're the SEC and the Big Ten, and I don't want to get too far down this rabbit hole, you're looking at North Carolina and Virginia, and then potentially North Carolina State and Virginia Tech. That's your first order of. And if you're the Big Ten, you're probably looking at Miami.
Yep.
You're not looking at Florida State
No,
first.
Miami
You're
checks
looking
all
at
the
Miami.
boxes.
You got a great school
Research
in a
school.
big city, and even if there's not tons and tons and tons of Miami fans like there would be, say, even FSU fans, you still get a great school in a big city
And
and
that's
a
what you
new
like.
market.
You like that. You know,
And so Miami is the only one down this way, in my opinion, other than looking at UVA and
right.
UNC,
Right.
and maybe Georgia Tech.
yeah, possibly they're in Atlanta.
Yeah, I think the Big Ten would like to have Georgia
And it's a
Tech.
fantastic school, research school. I also think the money that's been put on the table does help sweeten this pot because everybody likes more money. And I'll throw this at you really quick. All right, let's look at the things that have been tweaked. Because Cody Campbell, let's just be honest here. I mean, this guy's been making it rain at Ted Cruz's house forever.
Yes.
So Ted Cruz is again like anything. Hey Ted, I've given you a lot of money. It's time for you to help me.
Mm-hmm.
But let's take a look at where this is going now with the tweaking of the language. The pooling of TV money would be important to Texas Tech in the Big 12.
Amen.
That's gone.
Yep.
The dropping the ceiling on the how much money a conference generates so they can't expand, that hurts the Big 12.
Yes.
Where's Texas Tech?
Big 12.
So, is it gotten to a point, you tell me, you're more the political guy than I am. Has it gotten to the point because you want to get this bill through, period, after all this work, that now it's become more important to get the bill where you want it to be than to appease Cody Campbell? Because right now, the two things we just talked about, Cody Campbell would not be signing off on this.
He would not.
You
And
follow where I'm going here?
yes, I do, 100%. And as I mentioned earlier, in my opinion, and I'm not alone, Cody Campbell as one of the, I don't want to say authors, but as certainly one of the people that assisted in the creation and formation of this bill.
How about he held Ted Cruz's hand while Ted Cruz authored it?
Was looking at this as a way to bring the SEC and Big Ten closer to him. And again, if not outright punishing them because they haven't done anything wrong,
No.
you used a better word than I did, limiting their future ability to use the status they've earned and build upon it.
Yep.
And so now in the short term, okay, so we can't grow. The SEC's we got 16. The Big Ten, we got 18. We don't need to grow. And by the way, if we grow, we got to make sure that whoever we bring in is going to get the same amount. Remember, the Big Ten still isn't doing that
No.
for Washington and Oregon. They got a couple of years left
Well, they
of
staggered
half shares.
They staggered Maryland and Rutgers too, if I'm mistaken. When they came
did,
in.
and Maryland, and then Maryland borrowed from them a
they had
bunch.
to, so, right.
Now they did make UCLA and Southern California
Whole right away.
Yeah,
Because that's LA.
yeah. And that was the only way they were coming.
Right.
But Washington and Oregon were like, hell yeah, we'll come.
We'll
Why?
take
Yeah, that
3%
sounds
right now.
great.
Well, my favorite one ever is SMU. You ain't gonna pay us nothing.
Yeah, to the ACC, we got
ACC,
plenty.
you ain't pay us nothing.
It's a big, rich private school.
Exactly.
And they're fine. So yes, Terry, to your point, Cody Campbell has basically been told, dude, you're not getting most of what you wanted. But if we don't have them, you get nothing.
Right.
And at least Cody can still fund his athletics department up to the full threshold in a way that some of his schools in the Big 12 cannot.
And I think some of the language in this thing is Big 12 Texas Tech friendly. I mean, now at least if you're Texas Tech, you know that the SEC and Big 10 can't expand anymore, even though you can't in the Big 12. Who are you getting? Right? You're worried about getting poached in some ways more than who you're going to go get. So if nobody can expand, at least you're sitting around saying, okay, the status quo is the status quo.
Yeah.
So, because Texas Tech, look, they know they're not going anywhere.
They're not going.
They know they're not.
Yeah. Mike Waddell on the other side. North Carolina might be going somewhere. If we had time, I'd like to get into that with Mike, but today's not the day. Instead, how much trouble is the North Carolina football program in? We'll talk to Mike Waddell, North Carolina Sports Network, coming up.
You know, we don't like to admit when things aren't going well or like they used to. We don't want to talk about it, don't want to think about it, want to push off to the side. Like, when there's a noise in your car, I'm going to turn up the radio. There, that fixed it. We're good. But when things aren't going right for you, turn up the radio really doesn't fix it. It could only get worse. The way to make things better is to, get some help. That's what the Men's Clinic of South Carolina is all about. If you're going through things with memory, with, libido, with, weakness, with recovering from workouts, with sleeping, 803-875-MENS. Make the call, set up the free consultation, tell the Men's Clinic your story. Dr. Dan, the folks will listen. They'll do a testosterone test on you, and they'll come back with a program specifically designed to make you feel like you again. 803-875-MENS. Just give them a call. Men's Clinic of South Carolina. Get back to being you again. The last 2 days were fantastic. Today, not so much. Lots of accidents to get to. Decker Boulevard, Brookfield Road, Garner's Ferry Road at Century Oaks Lane, I-20 between Broad River Road and Bush River Road. Also some slow traffic, like usual. I-26 between St. Andrews Road and that I-126 exit. 77 southbound Bluff Road and 12th Street as well with slow traffic. Another accident. A couple just came in. Pineview Road at American Italian Way, Piney Grove at I-26 as well. Sunset Boulevard at Corley Mill Road and US 78 at South Carolina 29.
And 378 in Corley Mill is bad enough when it's just cars moving. Now there's an accident.
Yeah, that's
in the 4 o'clock hour.
Ugliness at a high level, man.
Oh my,
it's not good. Not good at all.
Pulling for you out that way, kids. Pulling for you. Welcome back into the program alongside Terry Ford, Jay Phillips here. It is always a pleasure to talk to my buddy Mike Waddell, who I went to high school with. He had the displeasure of having to do that many, many years ago. He's been in sports administration for a long time now, working with the
I thought we were just going to get Michael to talk high school stories about Jay Phillips.
No, let's not do that.
You want to do that?
I was the greatest baseball player in the history of Exit 44 in Asheville.
There you go.
Second greatest. Maybe third. Anyway, good to have you, sir. Mike is now working with the great David Glenn and many others at the North Carolina Sports Network. I texted you yesterday and in so many words just said, what the heck is going on with Mike Lombardi? It's just one thing after another for an experiment that has gone seemingly, sir, horribly wrong in Chapel Hill.
No, that's being very generous. I mean, you know me. I popped out of the womb in January 1969 cheering for the Tar Heels. My uncle was a captain on their 63 Gator Bowl team. My first memory of life is going to a game at Kenan Stadium. But it has become abhorrent to have to deal with the University of North Carolina Athletics Department really for the last 3 years. I mean, it has been a nightmare. And I had worked with Mac Brown during his first tenure in Chapel Hill in the late 80s, early 90s. And when he came back the second time, he just felt like, okay, well, we're really not taking a step forward. But then towards the end of his tenure, if you remember, and you probably don't because nobody really thinks about North Carolina football all that much, but they were undefeated 6-0 going into a nothing game over fall break against Virginia, and they lose, and Virginia was bad. And it just went downhill from there, and then, you know, the next year and a half with Mac, it was just eroding. So they get to this point to where the Board of Trustees, Jay, the Board of Trustees is now working a shadow department away from the now former athletics director, Bubba Cunningham, and they're out talking to people. Bubba's trying to hire John Summerall. Bubba's trying to hire Tommy Reese. Bubba's going the regular route that you would go look for a football coach, even though he didn't hire Mac Brown the second time. His only hire of a major coach, Bubba Cunningham, was Larry Fedora from Southern Miss. After that debacle, they cut him off. But now the board comes through, and through political associations in the State House in North Carolina, the State Senate, the United States Senate, they come up with Bill Belichick. And it has been a nightmare, not for the reasons that everybody wants to talk about. The 25-year-old girlfriend, the hiring of Michael Lombardi. It's a disaster because they don't know anything about college football. And, you know, North Carolina doesn't have the talent on the field or off the field to compete. And now we're in a state of literally Tar Heel football hospice right now. You're waiting on somebody to execute the DNR and just call this one a day and move on. But it could be, a year, 2 years down the line, because nobody's going to want to pay that big buyout that Big Buddy Belichick has. And Lombardi's thing, I think when this is all said and done, it's going to come down to, and I have this on a good authority, Mike fired somebody, and they didn't like it. So they fired a complaint off, and that's where we are. A complete separate probe, ironic in the timing that it comes out, talking about the College Sports Commission. But I've been told by people close to the Carolina Chancellor's office, not athletics departments, that they're not too worried about that. There are a number of schools that are being looked into. But I guess the bottom line would say about that is, if they were cheating, they really suck at it because they were terrible last year, and they're going to be – this North Carolina football team will be 1-4 heading into a mid-October game with Duke. That's all you need to say.
Mike, because a lot of the stuff going on, your new chancellor, new athletic director, all these things, and I think you went down this road now just to hammer the point home. This mess was caused not by new presidents, new ADs. The stink of all this starts with the Board of Trustees or their entity that they have been building, correct?
Yes, sir. And it's important to note, and I'm not going to get into politics on here, but it has crept into this discussion. Because for years and years, the governor of the state of North Carolina made appointments. And then slowly but surely, as a supermajority came over the State House, there were changes made to where now people in the legislature are making appointments. And to see a whole ensemble never been in power that have this power now, and a chancellor at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, I can't believe I'm going to say this, who is a Duke graduate and has never worked in higher education. He was a state budget director. He was not even the auditor. He was like a flunky. And his entire mindset right now, the guy's name is Lee Roberts. He is the chancellor of Chapel Hill. His main goal is to run for governor in either 2028 or 2032. We'll back up 5 months ago. There was a major kerfuffle going on in Orange County, North Carolina, where Chapel Hill is, about the future of the Dean Smith Center, and how Chancellor Roberts had already made the decision unilaterally to move forward with a brand new billion-dollar real estate development that they really hadn't done any, PR work on. And then what they found out was that was really unpopular, so that all of a sudden got dropped. That was during the momentary take a breath away from the football drama, but lo and behold, here we are. It's, late July, and we're talking about Carolina football again, and not for anything on the field, but we're talking about Michael Lombardi. We're talking about Bill Belichick. We're talking about a $10 million salary for Belichick, $1.5 million for Michael Lombardi, who's the GM. The defensive coordinator is Steve Belichick, $1.4 million. Matt Lombardi, Michael's son, gets $650,000 as the QB coach, and Brian Belichick is the $500,000 defensive back coach. So the Belichick-Lombardi ticket here in 2026 is coming in at $14 million a year. Wow. Okay? But at the same time, Shane Beamer has signed more top 10 high school football recruits in the state of North Carolina than the University of North Carolina and NC State and Appalachian State, Duke, Wake Forest, East Carolina, and Charlotte had. What does that tell you?
Yeah, it says a lot. You mentioned one thing. We're talking to Mike Waddell, North Carolina Sports Network. There's a fear of the buyout at this point in time. But if it's another season, anything close to last year, is it one of those can't afford not to buy him out and get on to something else?
Right. Well, Lombardi's contract allows for-cause termination for material breach. System policy at UNC requires paid leave through investigation and then a 7-day notice before they're fired. At stake with Lombardi specifically is about $2.25 million on his guaranteed deal and a $3.2 million buyout. That is the highest of any general manager in college football. And yes, folks, he is the highest paid GM in college football. But come back on this. This is one of my favorite stories that the fanboy media up here in the Triangle just doesn't pay attention. They're so excited for somebody to return a call that they don't want to ask any big questions. But in each of the last 2 years, Carolina has gone out into the pool, and the Tar Heels have brought back a portal quarterback who has just never really made it towards the fall. This year, they're hoping that Billy Edwards Jr., a quarterback from Wisconsin, can do that. But if you're pinning your heads on somebody that looks like Opie Taylor, red-haired, freckles, and a mustache, this is a challenge. It's a challenge. And they're not going to be any good. They open up on August 29th in Dublin against TCU, the same team that beat them to a pulp last year. And this North Carolina team will be one of, if not the youngest teams in all college football, with over 100 completely different players on this roster. There is no excitement for this team, even though it's the 100th year of Kenan Stadium. And the biggest thing that people are talking about right now is they finally have a video board that doesn't resemble a light bright. It's nonsensical. It's nonsensical that this football program could have gone since the final year of the James Earl Carter administration in 1980, since their last ACC championship, but Coach Belichick is bringing back some of that magic because the Tar Heels will be wearing Lawrence Taylor retro uniforms a few games this year. So if they can't be champions, at least they can look like them.
Well, there's that. Good stuff, sir. No shortage of drama. I imagine we'll check in with you again at some point soon. Appreciate the time.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate you, man.
Always here, guys. Y'all take care.
That's
You
Mike
too.
Waddell's North Carolina Sports Network. Oh, man. I don't envy that. You're listening to the postgame show. Welcome back in. Jay and Terry with you here. Little Jay or nay coming up in just a second. Reset our Twitter poll today. If I can get to Twitter. It doesn't want me to activate it right now. Hang on. Who is this?
Faith No More.
Yeah, this is right. We talked about this. Okay.
Well, Faith No More action. Yeah. You remember Epic, the song Epic by Faith No More?
Yeah, I think they had the one. It was the one hit.
That was the big hit.
Yeah.
Epic, Faith No More. Cool, cool weird video with the big eyeball and stuff. You remember that?
It probably could jog my memory on that one. I don't know. Poll question: as the Gamecocks are heading into August camp, which position group are you most concerned about right now? Defensive back, offensive line, running back, tight end. It's ticked down a little bit. 77.9% now say offensive line. That's down from a solid 80.
Yeah.
Running back at 12.3%, 5.7 tight end, and 5.7 defensive back, 4.1% say tight end. Our buddy Michael Geddes hits us, Integrated Media, and said he voted defensive back because we need a great defense this year. Carolina was outscored 83-35 in the fourth quarter last season. Defense has to step up this year and keep people out of the end zone. That's a good one.
I was going to bring up DB. I guess the one reason why we don't get more concerned because Torian Gray's such a good defensive backs coach.
Sure.
And, remember the year you started Nick Emanwari and DQ Smith, 2 freshmen?
Yeah. They had to come in for injuries.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I don't disagree with Michael about the idea you're replacing 3 people in the secondary.
Yeah.
And typically you would be really concerned about replacing 3, especially if you don't get a pass rush.
Right.
Now you're leaving 3 new starters exposed. So I get where Michael's going. So I was going to talk about DBs. We just kind of go, Torrey will figure it out. He always does. But you are replacing 3 in the back end of your defense, to be fair.
But being outscored by almost 50 points in the fourth quarter, that's...
Well, it's a combination of your offense couldn't get first downs and make big plays, and your defense couldn't make big stops. Your defense got gashed.
Your defense was out there too much.
And part about that, they're on the field so much.
Yeah, you got to make some first downs.
You got to look at, again, we've rewound on what happened in the A&M game. You can blame the defense all day. No one's saying it's not their fault, but the offense had to score one time in the second half.
Just go get it. Yeah, or just get some first downs.
Yeah,
man.
do something.
Just get some first downs.
You did nothing
and
to
keep
stop
the ball out of Marcel Reed's hands.
It wasn't tough. And we look at the LSU game. You look at Missouri. You look at Alabama at the end. Yeah, the defense gave up big plays at the end, but again, the offense.
Alabama's a little different. Secure the ball.
Yeah, I mean the offense didn't help you by turning the ball over, especially in a spot, in not a good spot.
Right.
So. No, Michael's not wrong about the DB part, though. You are replacing 3 starters.
Our buddy John, I don't know what else to call him, regular John. Regular John. That's a little too vanilla.
Yeah.
But y'all know who I'm talking about, and he knows who he is. Until they start being consistently dependable, offensive line will take the cake in this one every time you throw it out. Well, again, yeah, it's 77%. We just ticked down a little more to 77.2. So
we've watched this the entire Shane Beamer era. The offensive line having issues.
Yeah. All right, what do we got for today's Jay or Nay?
All right, I'm going to throw you a softball because I like to hear this sound. I enjoy this.
Okay.
You know who this guy is.
Everything we do here is predicated on building a pro team. We consider ourselves the 33rd team because everybody's involved with our program has had some form of aspect in pro football. And Moses, our strength coach, spent a lot of time, 14 years in New England. Training is different for football than it is for other sports. You need lower body strength. You need lower body power.
Hey, Jay, do you know football is different than other sports?
I did not know that.
Well, that's the kind of gold you got from Michael Lombardi. So, is North Carolina the 33rd NFL team, Jay or nay?
Terry, this is a tough one. I'm going to say nay. I'm going to say nay. Yeah. I think that you could even add Jay or nay, is North Carolina the 18th best team in the ACC? And I might go, Jay.
I was going to say they're the 33rd best team in the state of North Carolina.
Who's worse than them? I'm serious.
In the ACC?
Yeah. Who's worse than them? I mean,
Boston
College?
Yeah.
Is that it?
I guess.
For real? Is that it?
That's it on top of my head. Yeah. That's it.
That's not good.
All right. Going into camp.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins has got the starting nod over Fernando Mendoza. Any reason to be concerned, Jay or Nay?
Hey, he's a rookie. And you know what? It's July.
Mm-hmm.
By Labor Day,
No doubt.
I gotta think my man's taking the job.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It'll all work out. I'm a big believer in Fernando. And I saw that Brock Bowers got engaged. So Brock's happy.
Well, that better be, right?
Yeah, there you go. All right. Headlines coming up. Talk to you about all kinds of things that integrated media does to make your life a whole lot easier. If you're a parent right now, maybe you've got one of your kids that is in college, but maybe moving into their own apartment, or maybe a recent graduate moving into their own place for the first time, and you want to make sure that they've got everything they need to make themselves feel happy and secure all at the same time. Call Integrated Media, whether it's television and sound installation, or whether it's the installation of video cameras and video doorbells to make their life more secure. Integrated Media specializes in all of these things, no matter where they may be, around campus or in the burbs. It doesn't matter. 803-948-8327 is the phone number. Let the pros at Integrated Media help you and your family feel, again, entertained with great television and sound, and safe with great security, cameras, lighting, and more, all controlled from one place. 803-948-8327. Call Integrated Media.
We might have to spend the 5 o'clock news going over accidents. Wow. What a rush hour so far. Still cleaning up. Decker Boulevard at Brookfield Road. Also some new ones. Garner's Ferry at Century Oaks. I-20 westbound at Clemson Road. I-20 westbound at Fairfield Road. I-20 westbound at US 178. Stay the bleep off of 20 westbound. Wow. Pineview Road at American Italian Way, still trying to clean that one up. Piney Grove Road at I-26, that one as well needs cleaned up. Sunset Boulevard at Corley Mill Road and US 78 northbound at South Carolina 29. Use the voice in your phone and navigate your way around this stuff. Woo!
It is 5 o'clock news time on this Tuesday. Welcome back in. It's also the final hour of the postgame show alongside Terry Ford. I'm Jay Phillips. We start with Big Ten Media Days, and the back and forth between the SEC and Big Ten continued. Some a little fun, some a dig from a guy that people don't like, and then a lot of just cordial business. First off, Tony Petitti taking the stage today noted how the Big Ten has 11 wins by 7 different teams over the last 2 years of the 12-team playoff. Quote, more than double the next best league. That would be the SEC with 5. Then Brett Bielema,
Oh, God, this
who
guy.
once coached in the Southeastern Conference.
How'd that go at Arkansas?
Not well. Said they want to live in 2005 forever. And then he said, I think I just made the headline, huh? Yeah, Coach, you did, but you did it on purpose.
I think it wasn't 2005, Coach. That's okay.
No, but that's all right.
You know what, though? How'd you do in the SEC, Brett?
He didn't do well.
You didn't do very well, did you?
But you know what? He's happy because he's beaten Tennessee and South Carolina the last 2 years in a bowl game.
That's okay.
So he's good with that.
That's all right. Look, Brett Bielema is Brett Bielema. He can sit in Champaign, Illinois, and he's fine.
Tony Petitti also pushed back a little bit on the notion that the middle and bottom of the Big Ten are not as strong as the middle and bottom of the SEC, saying, quote, the reason why we've been so successful is our teams are prepared. When the best teams in any given season play each other, that's great. That prepares them. But you've also got to get through a lot of really difficult games. And he went on to say that every road game in the Big Ten can be
tell you
difficult.
What. That gauntlet of going to Maryland and Rutgers and Michigan State and Northwestern. Oh, yeah. Sure. I tell you, that Big Ten.
Well,
woo!
Yeah. But then he got around to the cordial part of it all and how he's been working with the Southeastern Conference, saying, quote, when it comes to the Protect College Sports Act not yet being passed, I think the first place you go is with our colleagues in the other conferences, the SEC, ACC, Big 12, and Pac-12, also a defendant, he said, and the NCAA. How do we come together to make the necessary changes to the way the settlement is operating so we can give our athletic directors, coaches, student athletes a system that seems to be more sustainable and more predictable? He said the Senate bill would not offer a perfect path, but he does see that working with the SEC has been good, and says that if the bill provides more help than not, that would be a good thing. He also added that he had spoken to Greg Sankey 5 times today, and he gave his address just before noon Eastern time.
Yeah, but they were talking about stuff like, do you like brie?
Well,
Greg, you like brie?
Yeah. Or what's your favorite restaurant in Chicago?
Hey, Greg, quick question. What are you watching on Hulu? I just hooked up that. Would you give me some recommendations?
Only Murders in the Building.
I mean, they're not. Maybe because that's it's a funny thing. Like we think every conversation is these real deep, insightful, heavy conversations.
I would say today it probably was.
Today it was.
Yeah.
But how about funny if it wasn't?
I think they get along pretty well. But you know what? In all seriousness, again, I watched all of Commissioner Petitti's speech this morning and Q&A. And it was good. He didn't dig. Bielema took a dig,
Yeah, because that's Bielema.
He's just that. That's just him.
He's that guy. And that's fine.
Nobody else that I saw. And
but though, to be fair, if you've won as many national championships as Brett, if you won as many SEC championships, Big Ten, yeah. Anyway,
he's got 2 straight bowl wins. That's what.
What does that mean today?
To him, it means a lot.
Well, good for him.
To him, it means a lot.
Because they have buffets at those things.
Yeah. And he talked about meeting his wife at a casino, and he really did. He spent some time talking about that.
Now, I will say this: that is a man who outkicked his coverage. We'll leave it at that.
But anyway, otherwise, I thought Petitti actually was very solid and complimentary. In some ways, even indirectly pushing for more direct competition in the regular season between the power conferences.
I think that would be good.
He was asked today about a mandated non-con game with a Power 4, and in so many words said we're waiting for guidance from the CFP, something the SEC and ACC didn't do. They were just like, we're going to do it.
Let's just kick that can down the road as long as we can.
That's what
you're doing. It's all right.
But
like that weird thing about the depth of our conference.
But for now, they got their 3 trophies up there.
Look,
if I'm Greg Sankey next year at Media Days, win or lose this year's title, do I just bring every single one of them since the BCS era?
Well, we need another room, Jay.
Yeah, well, I mean, seriously, should you just do that?
It'd be so funny.
Like, I don't. Whatever, look, it is what it is, man. The SEC does need to get a team back in the title game.
The SEC has run into a weird. They're still trying to recover from the loss of Nick, even though Nick's teams weren't. They played Michigan in the semifinal a few years ago, but we're not going to sit here and say that was one of Nick's best teams. I think, look, the SEC was so good for so long, 13 out of 17, man. Come on, at some point, just things change. Even if it's temporary, right? Mm-hmm. And then right now the SEC is kind of in that, okay, Nick won a lot, but Kirby's won a couple. We've had other schools win. We got to get momentum back again in the new world to win a championship, or at least get somebody playing for a championship. They're just trying. They're trying to find their way again, and while they're doing it, to the Big Ten's credit, they had Michigan with Harbs, not a shock. Yeah. You had Ohio State with Ryan Dagan, not a shock. The one, I'm telling you, I don't think this meeting ever happened in the Big Ten office. Hey, what's up? See who Indiana hired?
Right.
Yeah. Guess what? What? National championship, baby. No. Nobody saw. Not even Indiana saw that.
They're like, James Madison's coach? Really? Did they hire James Madison?
Yeah, which president was that guy?
Yeah. No, he's dead.
No, so it's just the idea that you kind of fell into something nobody saw coming with Indiana.
No, big time.
And look, you got.
I love the story.
Look, you get that. I do too. I was rooting for him last
awesome.
year. Look, you give the Big Ten a big thumbs up. Look, you won 3 straight. God love you. You can brag. You can talk. You've got the trophy. You got the scoreboard. That's fine. But again, take a step back and breathe, and take a look at the last 20 years.
Yeah.
I mean. If you think the SEC is going to sit back, you know what, we were good for a while, we're okay now, let's just sit back and watch a Big Ten win a bunch of these.
Yeah.
No, sir.
But even then, Georgia get a little bit back, and LSU maybe get.
Well, that's the thing. Let's just real quick. All right, Florida won a few of these with the ball coach with Urban. Florida's been a mess.
Yeah.
LSU won obviously with multiple coaches.
They had 3 titles under 3
coaches. They have been a mess.
Yes.
Auburn won 1.
Yes.
They've been a mess.
With maybe the greatest player
generational quarterback for one single season.
Maybe so.
Georgia got a couple with Kirby. They're fine. They're really good. They're just not championship level good like they were, but they're still in the mix, right?
They're still the best. They're still the best team in the SEC. Yes.
And then, of course, Alabama. Nick took off, and they're just trying to get themselves back on the right track. So all these teams that won, 3 of them are a mess, Jay.
Yeah.
So let's think about that for a minute. It's not just that Nick left. Yeah, he did, and he took a bunch of trophies with him. But besides Kirby, the other programs that have won national championships that you usually depend on for at least being competitive, no.
Right.
And that's a problem.
I agree. I agree. But we'll see. Big Ten Media Days continues through Thursday. Speaking of the Protect College Sports Act, real quick, here are some of the things that have been tweaked in the language and hopefully gets the support of the SEC and Big Ten in the coming days. Basically now it's what's called a retention fund where schools can pay the rev share portion of the House settlement, which stands this year at a shade over $21 million and escalates every year by a percentage. They can also put in an additional $20 million up to $25 million perhaps in a retention pool and have an additional $5 million for women's NIL only. So that could be part of the language. Also, the threshold for what's called super leagues or just realignment was lowered to 700. So basically, if you're in a Power 4 league right now, you can't move. That would be what this bill says. It closes the loopholes on the potential of private equity stealing away the very biggest brands across the country and forming their own super league for television purposes. It says that covered conferences could add non-covered schools. So if you're in the G6, you could move into the P4, but not the other way around, or not that you would do that, or you can't move laterally within the Power 4. And it also says that participation in media pooling would be completely voluntary. and that schools and or conferences could not be forced to join no matter what kind of vote amongst membership may take place. So we'll see if this is
thing still
enough.
has a long way to go until it would ever
We'll
be
see
a
if this
law.
is enough to get things done. Continuing our integrated media headlines of the day, 49ers head coach Kyle Shanahan has now gone public and says he wants to make clear that he was at fault for an accident that left him with multiple injuries a little over 2 weeks ago. He spoke publicly for the first time earlier this afternoon and said he spent some time in the hospital after an accident with a 21-year-old woman. Quote, "I hit her. I don't know why it was reported that way, that she was at fault. The police report doesn't say that." Shanahan gave his full version of events that led up to the collision between his car and the other driver's SUV. It left him with a concussion, broken left hand, broken nose, 3 broken ribs, 40 stitches in his forehead. He said, "I was going about 20 miles an hour. I was not on my phone, but I dropped my phone, and it was stuck in my seat. It was on my lap and slid off. I went down to look for it, took my eyes off the road for 2 seconds, and as I was coming up, the airbags hit me in the face, broke my nose, and then they said the visor gashed me. I took my eyes off the road looking for my phone, and my car veered into someone. It's one of those roads where there's no forgiveness. When I hit her, the impact was just so. I'll never forget how violent it was." It happened in daylight, 6:12 p.m. There were no drugs or alcohol involved. And initially, there was no reporting on this,
Right.
which was very interesting and to some, maybe a little irresponsible. Nevertheless, he's
I
now
think,
come
Dan,
out.
you said, Dan Patrick talked about it on his show, the locals doing Kyle a solid, which I'll say this really quick, because the 49ers are my second favorite team. And I've read a lot of stuff from the San Francisco newspapers over the years. And the journalists that work for those newspapers used to be among the best in the country. The Chronicle and the other newspapers in San Francisco. And the idea that the San Francisco media on this thing is disappointing to me.
But you got the San Jose paper, you got the Sacramento Bee. They all have big beat writers.
And for everybody to shush this for whatever their reasons, and look, I don't care about their personal life. I truly don't. But when something like this happens, it is a story. And accidents get reported all the time by regular schmoes like us. So to cover this up for whatever reason it was covered up is very disappointing. Because, again, the journalist's job is to cover the news. And that is news.
Right.
Sorry.
It is. No, it is. So there's some clarification with the Shanahan situation, and he should make a full recovery here in the coming weeks.
And if your phone drops, man, wait till you get somewhere you can go get it. But you know what, Drew? It's human nature when you drop anything in your car, you just react, right? You just do.
Finally, the Braves and Mets game for tonight has been postponed in Queens because of heavy thunderstorms and rain in the New York City
They
area.
run out of baseballs from last night?
It'll be a day-night doubleheader today. The Braves lost last night, 14-3, and they could use a day off, so I'll take it. Tonight, it was supposed to be Christian Scott going for the Mets against Chris Sale. So they'll have a doubleheader tomorrow, but the Mets, again, won big last night. Braves just, it was 3-3. Everything was going along fine, and then it wasn't. It just it flipped on a real quick switch, man.
Man, that went bad quickly.
But the Mets beat the Dodgers the other day, so they've won 2 in a row, man.
Look at that, longest winning streak of the season.
Good news, Braves fans, is that the Marlins beat the Phillies last night, 8-7.
Broke that 13-game losing streak.
Yeah. So Atlanta remains 5.5 in front of
And the Phillies blew a lead.
Philadelphia. I don't care.
After the Marlins blew a lead, the Phillies blew a lead.
As long as it says L, I'm good with it. That's our integrated
By the
media.
way, did you see the Marlins manager compared that losing streak to the Odyssey?
I saw the headline. I never read it or heard it, so I'll have to check that out. Odyssey's making a lot of money. Have you seen it yet?
I have not.
I want to.
It looks interesting.
Yeah, I
gotta go IMAX.
Yeah, I know, and it's all the way out there.
Where?
Out that way. That's our integrated media headlines of the day. A couple of things to get to in the Gamecock Notebook, including a renewal of a big basketball rivalry. You're listening to the Postgame Show. AAA Heating and Air ready to keep you and your family nice and comfortable all year long, but especially in these hot summer months. I mean, what do we got? 97 degrees in downtown Columbia today. Ugh. Feels like 1,000. Don't let that happen inside your house. 803-677-1500, the number to call. If you are having any kind of AC troubles, AAA Heating and Air can get one of their techs to you real quick. And you know what? If it's time for a brand new system, chances are real good. You call on, today, and by tomorrow, or at least by, say, Thursday, you got a brand new system in your house. And that's going to keep you nice and cool. Plus, Roy and Dana Finley guarantee to get you financed, get you a $1,500 system buyback rebate. So, bang, you're saving money right off the top, and a 15-year parts and labor guarantee. So whether it's a quick fix, a brand new system, anything in between, do what I've done, many of your friends and neighbors. 803-677-1500. Call AAA Heating and Air.
Lefty made a mistake. Lefty ran out in a boys' game. He was the first one on the court. We always laugh about this, Lefty and I. He said, I looked around, there's McGuire fixed his tie and his cuffs, I said, it's a boy, hey, there are young men out there, you could kill. He made the mistake of jumping on John Ribback's back. John didn't know who was jumping on his back. And I don't think John really hit him, because if he did, Lefty wouldn't be walking around.
That's great.
It's fantastic.
Oh, my
This is a
goodness.
great cut. And this is the one Tommy showed me when I first got here.
That was Coach McGuire.
Part one is Lefty telling a story because it's about the South Carolina Maryland brawl of 1970 when they're both in the ACC.
Yeah.
And Maryland was up and coming as a program, and South Carolina was really good. Lefty's story, he had a player comes in after the brawl, Coach, I did something to my hand. I punched 2 of them. I don't know, Coach. And so Lefty, they wrap up his hand, take him to get x-rays, and x-rays are negative. So Lefty goes, we're watching the film the next day, and this player, the brawl starts, he goes hiding under the bleachers. So that was good
Lefty,
stuff.
I should know this. Lefty, welcome back into the program, by the way. Jay and Terry with you. And again, that was Coach McGuire giving his side of the story of that fight. Again, I wasn't here yet.
Yeah, we were.
I was on the way in the late winter of 1970.
And I had been barely hatched.
Yeah, I was a few months from making my debut.
Neither one of us remember this, is what we're trying to say.
But Carolina and Maryland will play each other again. Now, Lefty coached at Davidson before Maryland, but is Lefty? Where's Lefty? He's not from Maryland, is he?
No, he's from North Carolina.
He's from North Carolina.
He went to Duke.
Okay.
Lefty's a Dookie.
Okay.
Lefty, matter of fact, took Davidson to the Elite Eight.
Yeah.
Lefty just never get to a Final Four.
Right.
But yeah, Lefty, he was, and the Duke, back when the Cameron Crazies really had an edge, and they were really Cameron Crazies, they'd wear these Lefty bald wigs and stuff, and they gave Lefty grief because he was a Dookie.
Yeah.
They gave Lefty so much grief when he would go Cameron Indoor. But yeah, Lefty was a character, man.
If you have not yet heard, Carolina and Maryland have agreed to a non-conference game coming up on Saturday, December 19th. They'll be playing in downtown Baltimore. I guess it's downtown, right? Is that place?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, it is.
You were asking earlier. You should know this. It's now CFG Bank Arena.
Yeah, that's it. But I don't live there anymore. I can't tell you what they
Is CFG Bank a good bank?
Well, it hadn't been robbed yet.
That you know of.
That I know of.
It'll be
is that a day tip? What time's a tip?
We don't know yet. We don't know the time yet.
I'll say this. You're really kind of rooting for a daytime tip.
Okay, I don't disagree with
and
you.
I'll leave it at that.
And remember, now daytime by then means super early because by then it'll be back to standard time.
Yeah, you need a daytime tip. Noon tip.
But you were saying that holidays in Baltimore could be fun.
Well, everybody is in a good mood. They are. I mean, again, there's a lot of Merry Christmas after you get shivved.
No, don't.
You know, I mean, it's not
shopping in downtown Baltimore.
Shoplifting, yes, very encouraged around the holidays.
Encouraged.
It's encouraged in the holidays.
I've never been to Baltimore I've been to Baltimore a lot, but never during the holidays. So
it's a jolly place to be.
Okay.
The crime rate drops at least, I don't know,
2%.
0.5%.
Nice.
Yeah, it goes from typically.
But like the area, like the walk from the Inner Harbor up to Camden Yards. That's a
really nice walk.
Yeah.
That is. That walk usually just a mild mugging.
Okay.
Not a really hardcore felony. It's a mild mugging typically on that road.
You know they're going to believe you. I'm looking out for the local economy up there for fans that might want to go to the D.C. Baltimore area for a holiday excursion.
Sure.
And you're probably saying they should not.
Sure. No, I fully endorse it. Just tell me what area you're walking in, so I'll let my friends know.
All right. TV information and tip-off announced at a later date. It's the first time that Carolina has played Maryland since 2005 when Carolina was on the way to winning the NIT. It's the first time they've scheduled one another since the late 80s. They played 3 straight in 87, 88, and 89. Carolina won the last 2 of those. They lost in College Park, one in Columbia, and they also won a game in Richmond. A neutral court game in that 3-game set.
Very interesting spot.
Yeah, I'm not sure how. I remember, as I told you earlier, as I said, I was born a few months after that big fight, but believe me, man, because and for a lot of people that are around our age and remember. When Carolina was in the Metro, I mean, Carolina still had its fans, and people went to see them play Louisville and Virginia Tech and Memphis and things like that. But on television, Terry, I promise you, even though there was Metro Conference television on some channel, you still had the old Jefferson Pilot ACC games, and they were the ones that people watched. And so I grew up being regaled with stories of how good Carolina was, or like Duke games and state games, and my grandmother, my mom's mom, who was really the biggest sports fan in my life growing up, was she went to Sunday school and she went to church on Sunday, and she went to church on Wednesday, and she went to her circle meeting, and I mean, like, if she had 3 glasses of wine a year kind of thing, okay, she did not like Lefty Driesell. and she would let you know it, man.
Oh, that's so good.
She would let you know it.
That's okay. There's some people.
And I mean, not in any kind of vulgar or mean way,
right,
but,
just you like
but when
him.
he was on TV playing North Carolina or
She didn't
Duke
like
or
him.
whomever or Clemson,
So funny.
and it was weird to like see her like almost root for like Clemson and Bill
Against
Foster
Maryland.
against Maryland.
So funny.
She did not like Lefty Driesell.
That's hilarious. Lefty was a polarizing dude, man. Lefty was one of those, you either loved him or you thought or you couldn't stand
Yeah,
him.
I
That
always
was
thought
Lefty.
he was. You know what? Because around that, and she died right around the time Lynn Bias was becoming Lynn Bias. But I liked Lefty and I liked his attitude. But because I love me some Lynn Bias, man. But and
Lenny
again,
was something
then
else,
Lefty
man.
was gone right after that, and again, so I remember when Carolina played them. I was in high school, and it was a big deal around here. It was a big deal.
Lefty handled some things as you get older and you have more perspective on life.
Yeah.
You look back and go, what the hell was he doing? But, I mean, for the most part, I loved Lefty.
I hope this. This is for now a one-off. But I hope that that these two schools can play again. Dawn's been playing Maryland almost annually for the last 6, 8,
Yeah,
maybe 10 years. They've been playing a lot.
Brenda Freeze has a good solid
Yeah,
program. in
but
College
that's
Park.
a great game for both, and it's been a fun. I won't call it a rivalry necessarily, but it's been a good power
I'll say
non-con game.
this. Remember, South Carolina is, I believe, the closest SEC school, or is Kentucky. One of them is the closest one to the DMV. One of the two. I can't remember.
I'm not sure.
But so really,
I would say
fun.
Carolina, Knoxville, or Columbia, Knoxville, Lexington, all
It would be
probably.
it would be fun to have a little something going
Yeah,
on like that. That'd be good times.
and just like I say, I think there's a lot of people around here. And look, there's a whole generation, even me. I mean, I don't remember the ACC.
Right.
I just remember being regaled with stories of it. But if you're, say around my kids' age and you care even less, and Carolina's been in the SEC now for 30-some years, but it'd still be nice to play these schools more often. But I know some of them, like when the Gamecocks played North Carolina in 89 or 90 up at that event in Charlotte and won with Chris Lesso's tap in. Listen, at that point, the people in Chapel Hill said, I want nothing to do with that.
Right, you got nothing to gain.
And you're not going to play Duke probably, but it'd be nice to play Wake and Clemson's different, obviously. Maybe to play Georgia Tech every once in a while. Look, I'm not shunning the SEC, obviously, but
just a little non-conference
But
against the ACC.
these are good schools in your area.
And look, the ACC, as much as they try, and I understand why you want to be a football league because you have to be. The ACC, if you cut their heart open, the original ACC, a basketball falls.
Absolutely.
And it always
you've
will.
got Syracuse
Always
and Louisville in your conference, too.
Yeah, and obviously Syracuse, a basketball school forever. Louisville has been a basketball school forever.
And John Concack went to SMU.
Uh-huh.
And if you're old enough, you remember John Concack.
First-round pick,
Yeah,
John Concack.
played for the Atlanta Hawks.
John
Concack.
Concack,
He was on TBS with Skip and Pete. That's the Gamecock Notebook. We'll continue it as part of the drive around the SEC because I got a football poll question to get to that revolves around areas of concern for the Gamecocks. You're listening to the Postgame Show.
All right, roads have finally gotten cleaned up a little bit. Still a few accidents, but wow, a lot better than it was earlier. Let's see, still trying to get everything together. I-20 eastbound, Clemson Road, westbound, Broad River Road exit. Also, US 78 at South Carolina 29. All those still in the process of getting straightened up. Couple new ones, 2 Notch at Roseberry Lane, and also Blythewood Road at University Village. Come back, drive around the SEC, take a look at our Twitter poll as well. It's the Postgame Show. Jay and Terry here on the Game Network at the Game TV Radio and YouTube.
It is Drive Around the SEC time. Welcome back in. Jay and Terry with you. We'll start with our poll question, then we'll get y'all's thoughts on the revisions, potential revisions at least, to the Protect College Sports Act and whether you think it might be enough for the SEC to go, yeah, we'll support that. First, the poll question. We've been running it through the afternoon, and we'll run it all the way till tomorrow afternoon around this time. As the Gamecocks are heading into August camp, which position group are you most concerned about right now? Defensive back, offensive line, running back, tight end. 77.2%. So, again, just a little tick down. Offensive line. So, way out front, as expected. Running back at 13%, defensive back 5.7%, tight ends just 4.1%. Again, offensive line, so much revolves around that. I mean, duh. But last year, whether it was pass blocking, run blocking, opening holes, any way you want to look at it.
How about getting the snap count right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't know how many 5-yard penalties they had.
How
that
does
was
your
something,
center, remember that last year a couple times?
Right?
The center.
Right. And so this year they've addressed not only that, but they've addressed the offensive line with a veteran presence. Does it make a difference? We're going to find out. We don't know that yet, but you'd certainly like to believe that it will. And I think we had a couple people hit us and say, yeah, look, I think we had, when you get with Franklin hit me, because John hit us and said, until basically they show it, it's going to be offensive line. Franklin hits us and says, it's always going to be offensive line for me until we have 3 or 4 consecutive years of it not being the offensive line. That's fair.
I mean, that is absolutely fair. And, again, you've brought in a very respected offensive line coach. You have brought in an offensive coordinator with a totally different scheme. And you brought in some veteran offensive linemen this year. And plus, you have some young ones. Maybe one of the biggest problems here, look, let's just be real, there has not been development. There's been offensive linemen brought in here. The recruiting of offensive linemen has not been a problem.
Correct.
The developing of those offensive linemen is a problem. It's a shame Josiah Thompson is hurt this year. I would have liked to have seen him working with Coach Clem and Coach Smith and those folks, and maybe they could unlock all that ability, because we saw it. Josiah Thompson's freshman year, we saw glimpses of what he could be. But we knew, hey, freshman left tackle in the SEC.
Rare is the offensive lineman at any of the 5 spots that can start right away, but especially at left tackle.
So he showed us moments where he said, you know what? There's a lot of ability there, and he took not 1 step but 3-4 steps backwards last year, like they all did.
Yeah.
So and it's a shame he got hurt. I'd like to have seen him work with this crew of offensive teachers, because there's so much talent with Josiah
And he's
Thompson.
there. He's just not able. I know what you
play.
mean. I know what you mean.
And so I think that if these guys can not only have the portal offensive linemen get together and gel, and you can have an offensive line that can at least be solid, but some of these younger offensive linemen they have on the roster that don't seem to be taking any steps forward, maybe with this new crew of offensive line coaches, you can get those dudes to develop. You don't have to go so heavy on the portal in the future. Maybe, and then like we just had, the listener, maybe you can get a couple years of consistency because you're going to have guys together 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. Well, it's just and that's the hope. And back in the day, look, I mean, I don't know. I don't listen to, say, Athens radio every day as an example. No, but, let's face it. If there's one unit at Georgia that seemingly you just know about every year, it's offensive line.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, it just doesn't seem to matter. And, rare is that school. I think Nick had it for a while, and, Ohio State always has a great line. And it's easier said than done. But it feels like, man, what does it take to get to that? But it's an identity that's been built for decades, just a couple hours west of us.
Exactly.
I mean, that's like it. Nothing else matters without an offensive line.
Absolutely. I mean, it starts everything. And that's why it's always like we were talking about the running game earlier. And this is nothing against running backs. Yes, a more talented running back is a better running back who gives you a better running game. He does, his vision, his balance. He can break tackles. And plus, too, he makes the right reads and things of that nature. But a lot of times, a really good offensive line, if they win at the line of scrimmage in the run game, an average back can be above average. You saw with your Denver Broncos, with that offensive line coach, and that cutback running game that they always ran, that zone running. Dude, you could have went there and ran for 1,000 yards back in the Broncos' heyday.
I was going to.
Well, maybe 950. But it's just the idea that system of running game, that teaching by the offensive line coach and the offensive lineman they brought in to run that system that they did. Mike Anderson, no offense to Mike Anderson. God love Mike Anderson. 6th-round pick from Utah, plugged him into the Denver Bronco backfield. That dude was running for 1,300 yards.
Yeah.
And it's just, that's where you want to be. And you talk about Georgia. Nothing against the stable of running backs Georgia would have, because they end up going to the NFL, but those guys didn't get touched for 5 yards.
Well, so do all the offensive linemen that block for them.
They're blocking for them. That's the point.
And so do all of Ohio State's linemen.
Right.
Which is why Ohio State quarterbacks look great in college and maybe don't always succeed at the next level.
They got a minute and a half to throw the ball.
But yeah, what did Terry Bradshaw say about his linebacker? They're like, I had time to read a book and eat a sandwich.
Right. I mean, you look at the Ohio State quarterback when you get him to the NFL. Okay. Then you have like progression 2, progression 3, and he's like, I never needed that. What the hell is that? I just had one through the ball. An offensive line protected me. My NFL wide receivers
if I felt like throwing to number 3, it's just because I could.
Exactly. I mean, just
it's not because he was covered or I was in trouble.
I was bored. But that's just the thing. It's like you want to get to the point where that's what you have a factory.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's where
look, I think you hit a great point. I don't think that offensive line recruiting has been underwhelming here. It might not be the best in the conference or anything like that, but you've done more than serviceable work on the recruiting trail and now in the portal. You certainly have. I don't think that's up for debate. Again, in relation to a Georgia, a Bama, a Texas, okay, we can have debates. And A&M's got a great line right now. I understand that. But last year, it was basically the worst in the league.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad in every way, shape,
and
or form.
I love the point that you've made all off season and even going into the end of last season. Just be okay.
Yeah. Right.
And you've got 3 more wins under your belt.
Exactly.
Just be okay.
Well, how about that? When we looked at the analytics, a great deep dive on Gamecock Central. If you were just bad.
Yeah.
Remember that?
If you could tear it up to where there's like, awful and dreadful below bad.
Yeah.
Just be bad. Because you were dreadful.
Yes.
I hate to say it, but I mean, again, rated like number 120 or whatever.
It was just.
And again, rush yards per game, 119th in the country.
It's not good.
119th in the country. There's something that illustrates the point we're making. But anyway, real quick to conclude the drive around the SEC. Here are some new revisions to the Protect College Sports Act. And from what we understand via Ross Dellinger as of just a little bit ago, the United States Senate has basically given the SEC and Big Ten until 9 a.m. tomorrow morning to let the Senate staff know if they're on board. Here are the major changes. It caps conference membership at 19 and requires schools moving from one power league to another to operate as an independent for 5 years. So that is something new that we didn't have earlier, Terry. So that has been added. So if you were a Clemson and you wanted to move to the SEC, you could. if you go independent for 5 years. I don't know if that one's going to fly.
I was going to say that's, yeah.
Again, nobody's leaving the SEC or the Big Ten, so they're not going to care. But might schools in the Big 12 and
the
ACC care? It allows but does not require FBS schools to pool television rights if 75% of them agree. But again, does not require. So even if 75% agreed, the SEC and the Big Ten could go, yeah, nah. And guess what they're going to do?
They're going to go.
Yeah, nah. It prevents coaches from leaving teams before the end of the season. Take that up with the Coaches Association.
Yeah, good luck with that.
And it creates a $20 million retention pool for schools to use to retain current players in addition to the rev share cap, which currently stands at 21.3. And again, it would provide an additional $5 million to be spent on women's sports only. So that would take your rev share and NIL per school up to close to $50 million. 9 a.m. in the morning. So we may have a lot to talk about on tomorrow's show. That's the drive around the SEC. All right, welcome back in. Jay and Terry with you here. Final few minutes. Again, if you're just tuning in, the SEC and Big Ten have been given a 9 a.m. deadline tomorrow morning by the Senate Commerce Committee to go, up or down on the revisions to the Protect College Sports Act.
All right, so as it is right now, what do you think they'll do?
Say no.
I think they say no.
I just think there's still too much gray area in there. Now, can they have it all black and white? Here's the thing, Terry. Here's while I think they would say no, let me play devil's advocate to why they would say yes. Okay, let's get this through the Senate.
And then you can mess
because
with
then
it,
it's
right.
going to go to the House, and the House is going to tear it apart in committee. And then the House will have its revisions. And then let's say that it does get through committee and the House votes on it. Well, then guess what? That version then does what? Comes back to the Senate.
Yep.
And so, there's a long way to go
I think
here.
to your point, that's the only reason they would say yes, just to get the process going.
Yeah, like
they want something.
Let's at least get this out of the Senate and to the House.
They are dying for something, right? I'm talking about college athletics is dying for some help from Congress. Well, this is as this is not what this bill has problems for everybody. Like you get the coaches are going, excuse me, but at least you get it going, and then like you said, you can start tearing it apart and rebuilding it if you can get it with some momentum through Congress. So that's the only way they do it, because my first thought is they're going to go no. But
as it stands, if tomorrow, if a deadline tomorrow was a deadline on a final version of this bill, they'd say no. But the truth is, it's not. Because, again, it needs to go to the other side where, again, it will go through committee first. So they could potentially say yes.
Just to get it, I think you make a good point. Just to get it going.
Yeah. Knowing full well you can still tweak it.
Yeah, because they've been bugging the heck out of Capitol Hill for how long?
A decade.
So now you've got something that has survived, usually where the others don't.
Right.
So maybe, to your point, okay.
But again, we know the House is going to put in there, no. These provisions about letting them be employees one day, that ain't flying. We're not doing any of that. And again, everybody in the House is running for reelect. So it'll be, look what I did for Big State U.
Right.
And that'll play on local TV, and who knows what will happen to it.
The one side of the aisle is going to scream no for the employees. The other side of the aisle is going to go, they need to be employees.
Yeah, but so many other things that could be in there. They're telling us that, so and so, again, in whatever district, let's just say Lubbock. I don't know who represents Lubbock. They're telling us that we'd have to be independent for 5 years. They ain't doing that.
Ain't doing that. Very few schools would say, yeah, sure, I'll jump on that independent bandwagon for 5 years.
So who knows? I don't know. But 9 a.m. So I guess Tony Petitti is not going to Morton's in Chicago tonight.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. Well, if he is, he's just renting the whole place out and talking and flying Greg Sankey up from Birmingham.
Well, he's not flying in Phillips or our buddy Earmark?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
You might call him up. Y'all want to be on the conference call?
Hey, put him on a speaker.
Just for a minute.
Speakerphone.
Where are y'all? We're at Morton's. Oh, yeah, what you having? I'm having the 12-ounce strip.
Phillips is at Stuckey's.
No. He lives in Charlotte now. They don't have, what do they have? He's at Cracker Barrel.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, we're a little Cracker Barrel.
I love Cracker Barrel.
I like me some Cracker Barrel, man.
Cracker Barrel's good.
I love that hash brown casserole thing. Ooh.
Oh, have you had the hash brown tots?
I have not.
My man.
Are you serious?
They're brand new.
Really?
Had them on Father's Day, Sunday morning. Quite good.
Hash brown tots.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I've never gotten an appetizer at breakfast. And I did on Father's Day. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, man, that sounds good.
They were good. They were good. All right, what you got?
All right, that's good. Now I'm
I can talk about Cracker Barrel all day.
I'm hungry.
If you're wondering, I had pancakes, bacon, and eggs that day, by the way.
Oh, very nice. I tell you, their pancakes are very underrated. I like their pancakes.
Well, they're delicious. I think they're rated. They're awesome, man.
I go there, I get that thing where you get a sample of all of it.
The old timers or Uncle Herschel's.
One of those.
Yeah.
My middle name's Herschel.
Sure.
All right, here we go.
Let's do it. I know my name, by the way, so yeah, I go to Cracker Barrel.
Braves Mets obviously is not happening.
The rain wins.
Yes. All right, Phillies Marlins tonight. Sandy Alcantara.
Marlins.
Taking the ball.
Give me the Marlins.
Aaron Nola going for the Phillies. Aaron Nola.
He's good too.
Not this year.
Not this year, though.
Aaron Nola's really scuffling. He's like mortal now.
Give me Sandy.
Take Sandy?
Yeah.
Sandy's having a solid year.
I can't believe he hasn't been traded.
I will agree with you a billion
I can't believe he hasn't been traded.
And I know that he had the arm injury a couple years ago.
But still.
But he's bounced back to be solid.
He could be a contender's third guy.
Marlins' MO is you trade that guy.
Yeah. He makes a lot of money. I can't believe he hadn't been traded. And I don't think he's going to be traded this week.
It's a weird one.
I hadn't heard his name.
Nope, I have not either. You heard it last year a little bit. But that was
not this year.
Nope.
And I've been reading because the Braves need a starter.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. All right. Kevin Schnall tomorrow, 3:15. Tune in.
Right.
See y'all.
Thanks for hanging with us, watching us. Talk to you tomorrow. All right, quick check on the traffic. Malfunction Junction, malfunctioning like always. Stop and go there. Accidents, Blythewood Road at University Village still being cleaned up. I-20 eastbound at Clemson Road also still being taken care of. I-20 westbound at Broad River Road, still getting that one together as well. And Two Notch at Roseberry Lane. Connecting Carolinas with Scott Hamilton coming up next. Kevin Schnall, new South Carolina baseball coach tomorrow at 3:15 here on the Postgame Show. Have a good night. Thanks for hanging with us.